Hello and welcome to episode 210 of the Random Town Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Angel.
I'm Kevin.
And it's hot out.
It's 92 degrees and it's not fun.
But we're powering through it. But because of the heat, we have an awful episode title.
It's a living.
It's a living. Heat is a living. Just sweating's a living. But yeah, we have a pretty bad episode title. Not gonna lie.
That's the third. That's the third week in a row that you say we.
Listen, it's the royal we. It's the royal we. But it's called Master Quest, but has nothing to do with Zelda. It's because talking about Pokemon Masters and Dragon Quest. So
don't look at me like
I'm looking at you. But no, it should be a good episode. It should actually be like we have a smorgasbord of games to talk about. I've always wanted to be able to use smorgasbord in the podcast. I've waited 210 episodes.
Have you been to that place?
I have not.
No?
The food thing in downtown LA?
Yeah, I heard it was
I've heard it's good. Yeah. We should go as a collective podcast outing, a field trip. Not for the podcast. We won't record.
We are going to be in downtown LA today.
We are, so we could in the heat. But no, there's a lot of games to talk about this episode. First, there's the Indie World presentation. Then Gamescom, and now up in Seattle, PAX West is going on right now. And while none of them had any like bombshells per se put together, it's a lot of games that were announced. So we'll be sharing our thoughts on some of the indie highlights, discussing some new classics, which is kind of an oxymoron right there, that are coming to Switch, and weighing in on news from the mobile side. Plus, we have those Dragon Quest impressions. We have those Pokemon Master impressions. Kevin, you've been playing Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yep.
Angel and I have been playing a rhythm game called Superbeat Xonic. I think it's pronounced Xonic. Has an X. Which normally costs $40, but is only 89 cents on the eShop.
Normally costs 40?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we're going to talk about that experience.
I was going to say, like, you kind of get what you pay for, but... Wow.
Well, we'll get there. Wait, spoiler alert for 2 hours from now. But anyway, yeah.
Nothing,
2 hours
more,
in the heat.
More 2 hours in the heat. But yeah, more than...
Don't worry, we'll speed these along. It'll be like an hour tops.
Nah. But anyway...
sweating?
It's only been like a minute. But
yeah, that's how hot it is.
So listen, guys, if you want to get a real-time update of Kevin's sweat levels, there's timestamps on the blog post. Every game has a timestamp, and I'm sure when we get to them, he'll be reminding you of his sweat at that time.
Yeah, there'll be a moisture level right next to all the timestamps.
Next to every timestamp, yeah. So the blog posts are there. If you're on YouTube, it's under video. Anyway, let's start where the news cycle itself started, which is the Indie World presentation. Well, actually, first and foremost, it's not called the Nindy Showcase anymore. In fact, the term Nindies seems to have been retired, which like is kind of sad. Like literally, the first thing I did when the presentation happened is I went to a press release and I was like, "Where's Nindy?" Because I really like that term because it's punny and I like bad puns. And it was nowhere to be found. Nindy is done. The phrase is done. And,
rest in peace.
Yeah, like I don't know if I don't know how you two feel about it, but I was weirdly into the brand. Like I first of all, I like branding. I like marketing. I like packaging. I was the kid that anytime a cereal box changed at the supermarket, I'd be like, "Oh, they changed the logo," or "Oh, the Frosted Tony the Tiger has a new bandana." Like all these weird little things that no one sane should notice or care about. I would notice and care about. So like the
I
Nindy
noticed
thing,
them, but I didn't care about it.
See, I cared.
It depends. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It just depends on the property. Like if Ninja Turtles changed their logo, if it was something I didn't like, I would care. But that's pretty much it. Like this,
I don't care about cereal. I just saw the branding. I was like,
you just said you cared about it.
I care about the packaging of it. I don't care about the cereal. That's
no, I know
weird.
that's like you cared about that.
Yeah.
Like Nindy, like I mean, yeah, I knew it changed, but who cares?
But it's just like I think it's just like not.
But they also always do this. Like Virtual Console is essentially what we have right now on the Switch, but they're not calling it Virtual Console.
Right.
They do this all the time.
I think you went on a tizzy about Nintendo Wi-Fi connection being gone.
Did I go on a tizzy about that? I thought it was a bad name to begin with.
You probably did.
I probably
got attached to it.
I did. I was just like,
as bad as it is, I actually liked it.
Wi-Fi connection was
clear the case that Nintendo didn't know what to name it.
Wi-Fi connection wasn't great, but the Nintendo Network was good. Wi-Fi connection. Yeah, I know. Nintendo Network was good, but then they changed it again to Switch, and it's just Nintendo account. So they're somehow getting lazy. But no, the thing I was going to say about Nindies that's kind of lame is like it wasn't just punny. It was very clearly like, oh, these are indie games on a Nintendo system. Like it was a nice small catch-all term. If you call something Indie World...
But were they exclusive?
They were not necessarily exclusive, but they were available on the system. So any Nindy was a game you can know. If you see it and it's called Nindy, you can buy it on your Wii U at the time, your 3DS at the time, or now your Switch more recently. Like it was basically a guarantee that game is playable on Nintendo. Now they're calling it Indie World.
But like developers wouldn't necessarily call it, hey, here's, I don't know, Shovel Knight Nindy. And like, oh, it's available on Nintendo. Obviously, in the platforms, it'd be whatever, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch.
During the period that they used the word Nindies, was there ever like a Nindies category on the eShop or anything like that?
Yeah, is all the indie games.
Oh,
you mean exclusives?
like,
well, see, that's why I think
that's it. Was there like, can I click like, oh, Nindies, or is it just like
I don't
something
think
they
so.
only use on videos?
I think it was in marketing primarily.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just Indie World sounds so generic. Like when it was trending, #Indie World, and you go look at the games, you have no idea what system they're for just by glance. You have to actually wait for the little pre-roll logos.
Considering I've only ever heard the word Indie World in a Nintendo video, it's not like I'm gonna expect Xbox or PS4 games.
Like
I guess.
I mean, I can understand why you would be confused because you're very.
Go on. Go on.
You're a very person.
Oh, I'm a person.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. That's fair. I do kind of understand why they unified it, though. NOA was the only one that did an indie in the first place. In Europe, it was Indie Highlights. In Japan, it was Indie World. And I imagine as they want to have one global marketing strategy.
Yeah, okay. So
But
there is a reasoning behind it.
There is reasoning. I just would prefer Nindy World over Indie World. But whatever. Point is, regardless of the name, takeaway is the same as always. There's a lot of cool independent games coming to Switch. Like, a lot. Like, there were 29, I think, in this presentation. And it was nice to see games we previously covered here on the show actually pop up and be spotlighted by Nintendo now. Like, Earth Knight. I don't know if you... Well, this is more for you, Angel, but we stumbled across that E3 this year. And it got a nice big feature slot. It actually looks like they changed out the protagonist entirely, which is...
No, he's still there.
Interesting. They have two now, though.
Yeah.
The girl and the guy.
They didn't change it, though.
They added. But she's the main one now, based on the trailer. He's secondary.
I mean,
Anyway,
based on the trailer,
point is...
It's let's not make assumptions based on trailers.
Yes, let's. No, but it's a pretty fun game. It's like a rhythm-based platformer with like a really cool living level select screen where you kind of like dive bomb into the screen and land where you want to land.
The level select screen is definitely the best thing about it.
Yeah.
But it's funny how like no matter how much gameplay I've seen of it, nothing really... I mean, I haven't played it. I'm sure once I played it, I'll get maybe why it's quote-unquote rhythm-based. But I don't even think it even mentions in the trailer that it's rhythm-based. Like, everything is just... nothing.
Interestingly, it did not. Well, that's one thing I didn't like about the Indie World.
That's and nothing about like the gameplay from what I've seen or the trailer that indicates that there's anything rhythm-related.
Although the developer told us.
It just looks like a robot unicorn attack, but 2D. Wait, it was 2D, but with a person.
Right. Well, either way, we have...
Which is a fun game.
So and we do have fuller impressions of it back in episode 205, for those who are curious. But yeah, that's actually... You raise a good point. One thing I didn't like about the Indie World presentation, they didn't actually explain any of the games. The old Nindy showcases, they'd have a voiceover over gameplay. This one, they're just like, here's a game with dragons. And then they played a 2-minute trailer that could choose to tell you about it or could choose not to.
I almost prefer that level of... I almost prefer that type of presentation where they don't necessarily just walk you through the game. I just want to see a cool little trailer, hit on to the next game, because some of these drag on for a while if they start explaining to you what this game is about and the mechanics and stuff like that.
They were usually pretty concise in the
that's
Indie
funny.
one,
Like, that's why I'm really going to appreciate the Treehouse for that, because I'm glad it exists so that there's something I don't have to watch. Because when we were watching, for whatever reason, Jason, Elvis, and I, we just decided to rewatch, I forgot what years, Nintendo's
E3 2006, the one I was at. Oh, how great it was.
Yeah,
anyway.
like we watched that presentation, and they'll spend like a lot of time just like talking about the game.
13 years ago, Jesus.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, they like walked us through like Red Steel, and it's like, all right, go through this level, blah blah blah. It just took forever. Like, I was ready to move on, like maybe like 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And then we actually did end up skipping around, and then like they do that like for a couple games, and it's like, well, this is literally just what they would do at the Treehouse. It's just like trailer, maybe a little bit of talking, trailer,
Right.
and then all that later on for those that want to know more. So that's, I don't know.
Well, then I guess a better example of that is another game we have played that popped up in the montage of Indie World, which was Creature in the Well. We went hands-on with that I went hands-on with that back at PAX East, so that's in episode 199 for anyone who wants to know. But it's a fun mashup. It's basically 2D Zelda mixed with pinball, so it's kind of cool that got more attention. As a release date now is September 6th, which is so soon. It might be up by the time anyone actually is listening to this. Or some people are listening to this, just be up for a week. But yeah, now that I think about it, actually, Scaleboy also is in the montage, which you tried at GDC, didn't you, Angel?
I tried, but the developers were so unhelpful that I just didn't bother, like, progressing.
That's fair. I mean, I like the concept
I mean,
of
I was
it.
trying to play for, like, 15 minutes trying to, like, get across, and either, like, the game wasn't working, and, yeah, they just didn't care. They were just like, good luck.
Did I don't remember, did you actually give impressions in the GDC PAX episode we did at 199? I feel like you gave some sort of impressions. But
probably what I just said.
Well, you can go here a second time.
I mean, I don't know. It looks like it has potential, but, like,
yeah.
the developers, just, like, the way, like, they kind of handle people demoing their demo just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm kind of like, I don't care about this game.
Right, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, beyond just the ones that we know, like there's some cool, like true classic indies that are now on Switch that popped up, like Hotline Miami, Super Hot.
That game.
Yeah, well,
Super Hotline Miami, damn.
Super Hotline Miami.
Super Hotline Miami.
Oh, that'd be a great crossover.
So of the two, which is like the one we're paying more attention to, if you had to pick one, or have you played Super Hot?
Yeah, I played a little bit of Super Hot.
Super Hot, like more for VR or anything.
It
like,
was originally,
suited?
but then they just
I know
mapped
it is originally.
Yeah, no, they mapped it to motion controls with Switch, so you have like the
Yeah.
bubble effect, like the Google Maps on Wii U had. But
Which of those two are more noteworthy?
yeah, in
I
your
feel like
opinion.
the one that feels more at home is probably Hotline Miami. Just a quick and easy game to get into.
Right.
Retro looking, and you have two of them in there.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's a collection.
Yeah, it's
Catchy music.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a great soundtrack.
And
great
Super
visuals,
Hot
great
just
gameplay.
says Super Hot a
Yeah,
lot.
just at
over
the end
and
of
over.
the super hot. It's pretty fun.
When does it actually say that?
At the end of every level, once you actually beat it.
That's slightly unnecessary.
No,
I didn't get too far into it, so I don't know if he ever decided, if the
To
announcer
stop-
ever
to
decided to
stop
say something
or to
else
say-
aside from Super Hot, but
Any other words?
no, Super Hot's pretty fun. It's cool. Makes you feel like John Wick a little bit.
Oh yeah, because it's all like slow. Is it? It's
all
time-based, right?
stylish. Yeah. So
So
every
when
time
you move, the bullet moves.
when you move, your enemies move. So it gives you
okay.
it gives you time to think about, like, all right, what am I going to do right here? Am I going to grab the gun out of his hands? Or am I just going to dodge? Am I going to throw something at him? Yeah, it's super fun.
Right, gotcha. Of course, everything we've talked about are games we've talked about before, people know, but there were a lot of new, interesting games that people don't know that popped up in the Indie World presentation. And like I said, there's no way to cover them all. There's 29. But we can kind of cherry pick the ones that caught our eye, talk about those. So we all sort of pulled together a list over the last few days, which I feel like mostly ended up being me. But nonetheless,
yeah, Jason D is impressionable. So.
well, it's not even like they're necessarily going to be good or bad. They're just interesting or they stand out for one reason or another. And to kind of just work our way down the
I
presentation.
guarantee you, Jason was watching that direct, and anytime there was motion on the screen, he was clapping his hands and giggling.
It's true. I'm actually a toddler.
Like a seal.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Anytime Nintendo presents anything, I'm just sitting there going like, "Yay!" the whole time.
That is really how I
And
picture you whenever,
yeah.
like,
And I
direct
kick
or
my
whatever.
feet up, and I'm like kind of like wobbling on the back of my butt. Yeah, it's a grand old time. But anyway, to kind of just go down the presentation in terms of the things that made me go yay. I think the first one that jumped out at me was that game Freedom Finger. Now, to be honest, I feel like the game's trying really hard to be kind of wacky and crazy, maybe a little too hard. But the base
Funny they barely tried.
doesn't it come off though like it's really trying hard? Like it's
Not
so
really.
I don't know. It just feels like it's really. Anyway, the point is, basic premise is that there's 37 classics like side scroller shooter levels. But then they kind of overlaid it with like an Adult Swim aesthetic. So it's got the ridiculous humor. It has the exact art style you think of whenever you hear the words Adult Swim. It has major voice talent in the form of Nolan North and John DiMaggio and Eric Bauza and Sam Riegel, who are, for people I don't know, the likes of Nathan Drake and
Is that how you
Bender.
really say his name?
And which
Sam Riegel?
isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was Sam Riegel.
Yeah, I always thought it was Sam
I
Riegel.
thought, I thought the IE would make it Regal and no I would make it Regal. I don't know.
I've
'cause
heard it
RIE
pronounced that way before.
We'll go with Regal. I don't know. But anyway, it's Nathan Drake, Bender. What does Eric Bauza play?
John DiMaggio?
No. What? No. What does...
We said Bender.
No. I'm saying it's the equivalent of Nathan Drake, Bender, Eric Bauza, who I think is in Super Jail. Maybe.
Eric Bauza's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and then the voice of Phoenix, right?
He's Tiger
is
Claw, Ninja
Sam
Turtles,
Regal.
and Splinter, the new Ninja Turtles.
Oh, there we go. But anyway, so it's
Marvin the Martian, and some others. Yeah.
Oh, he's on a ton.
Yeah, he's like the new does every voice guy.
Interesting.
Probably
Wait.
the biggest voice actor right now, if I had to guess.
Oh, and couldn't even name a single one. At least I said his name correctly. But yeah, so there's them, and then also taking a play out of the Adult Swim playbook, they set it all to a soundtrack of music you'd expect from like Adult Swim's bumpers, or at least their festivals, meaning, you know, people, DJs like Com Trues and Aesop Rock, and like all these different acts and rock acts and whatnot. But here's the thing. Here's why I caught my eye. Under all that is actually some cool ideas for the genre. Like, first off, there's a simple fact that this thing is set to music at all. Like, shmups in general are very much, you know, you try and find a rhythm and memorize the enemy pattern, but it's not actually set to a rhythm as much. I think just Shapes and Beats is maybe like the one exception to that. But that's a totally different type of shooter than this is. So it's kind of cool to see Freedom Finger actually like, integrate music so directly and have like enemies and boss fights and level events all match up to the song that's playing and be in sync with the music and that sort of thing. So that's one thing that's kind of cool. The second thing that I thought was kind of cool is the finger the game's named after. It's attached to a hand, and that hand actually has close combat. So you're not just shooting from afar like a normal shmup would do. You're actually flying up close. You're punching. You're grabbing. You're doing like melee attacks, and then anything you grab can become either a shield or a weapon. So it's not just like a typical weapon system where the weapon you have is powered up, or you pick your loadout in advance.
Like
it's in real time.
Get On or whatever that game is called.
What? Which?
The one by the Plants vs. Zombie dude, where you're like an octopus and each limb is like a different weapon, and you could collect different weapons based on what your tentacles have. And yeah, so there's like, you pretty much have like crab claws that you could launch, and then if you collect like say like a bird, then that becomes a new arm as you like a new weapon.
Interesting.
It's
So
pretty much the same
it's
thing.
like two.
It's a shmup that just evolves over time depending on what you collect.
So it's basically two ways to skin a cat in a way.
Yeah, they're
I'm sorry, skin a cat?
Is it that expression?
Alive?
No.
there's more than one way to skin a cat.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. So
I've
there's,
never
this
heard that
is-
expression.
Oh, it's,
I've only heard it
it's
in
real.
101 Dalmatians, but
And that's my go-to for all colloquial expressions. So, no, but yeah, it's interesting that two people.
they both have a very
independently
different
have-
feel, but it's both the same idea. It's like they both start with the same premise and just went in different directions.
Yeah, I just like how this one seems more like. The thing about those shooters, and I think even the octopus one to some extent falls under this, is you keep your distance from the enemies. But this one, the hand's not that big, so you really have to go in and be like really on top of them, which is more than a lot of shmups. So that's kind of how it stands out, at least to me.
You're a shmup.
Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment because those are fun games. But yeah, we'll see.
Schmuck.
We'll see if it actually pans out that way. I mean, I plan to keep an eye on it. It's out in less than a month. I'm totally ignoring your guys' Shmuck cons. It's out in less than a month on
Well,
the.
you're not ignoring it.
No,
if you're
yeah,
I know.
Good
But-
job, Jason.
I'm ignoring you guys. I'm getting
guys,
acknowledged that
I
I'm
need you to
ignoring you
know.
guys.
I need you to know I ignored you. But yeah, it's out September 27th, so we should know soon enough how it holds up. When does the Octopus one come out? Is that coming to Switch?
I'm pretty sure it is, because I remember seeing the trailer on the eShop. It might already be out. I honestly don't know. I will look it up. I don't even know if it's published under PopCap Games. It might be...
No, it's an indie project. It's
Yeah, I know
spin-off.
that he went on his own, because he is doing a Plants vs. Zombies 3, which I'm curious about, because I really liked the first one. Didn't play the second. So, but the third one looks like it's jumping to 3D visuals, kind of like
just
how
wait.
Garden Warfare did. So,
Yeah, just wait. There's a new Garden Warfare coming too, I believe.
oh yeah, you mentioned that in
And
the last podcast.
it's probably coming to Switch.
See, I listen.
Yeah, good job. Anyway, I feel like the next on the list here, I feel like I'm into this one similarly because of Free and Finger and how it like does something different with the genre, or Octopus Game does.
I have to get on.
Octagon, and that is this game Skater XL, which seems to be offering something different from traditional skateboarding games because
So,
it's doing away with
Octagon
pre-canned,
came out on February 8th.
but non-Switch.
On
On
Steam.
Switch? Okay. So maybe it'll come to Switch later. Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm on the Nintendo page right now.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, we'll
anyway.
just say eventually. But anyway, I was good.
Oh yeah, it's been out. It came out in May.
On Switch?
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
It's
And we call
eight-
ourselves a Nintendo podcast.
Oh, it's 888. Get it? Because Octopus.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Wow. I really hope they're like, oh man, this game's worth a lot more, but we need to like,
We
commit
need to
the
get that
joke.
title. It either has to be $8.88 or $88.88.
Or $888.
Or $8,888.
One person will buy it.
No one will buy it at that price.
Somebody will buy it
Just to say they
just
do.
because of the price.
Well, it's like that iPhone
hey,
game.
Just for the
clever,
joke. Yeah, they'll screenshot it, get like Twitter popularity for a little while.
It's like that iPhone app way back when the iPhone first came out, where it was $1,000, and all you got was a picture of a diamond on your screen, and someone bought it.
Oh yeah, the I'm rich.
Yeah, the I'm
I'm
rich app. Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, that's a real thing. But anyway, the next.
It was you, wasn't it?
I wish. No, it wasn't. I went with $1,000 on a virtual diamond.
If
You
it-
don't
if it was
believe
if
me.
it was a Nintendo Diamond, I feel like you would.
Nope. I'm not even buying a Switch Lite, and that's only $200. Anyway, what was I talking about? Skater XL. Yeah. So this one's also kind of interesting because at least to me, because so it's a skateboarding game, but they
Jason
don't
was a skater
have.
growing up.
I was not at all. I was the polar opposite. I think that's kind of what attracts you to it. Is like I was the opposite of a skater. Like one time I got on a skateboard senior year of high school, and half a second later I fell off the skateboard, landed on my arm, dented my bone on my arm, and then the Switch came out 2 months later, and I couldn't even play it properly because I couldn't move my arm.
Is that why you
correctly.
do that weird thing with your arm every once in a while when you're playing games?
I have no idea what that means.
Wow. I'll just have to point it out.
Yeah, we'll record you while you're playing. games.
Sure, that's not creepy. But anyway, so I never really did the skater thing, but obviously, like, it's been around, and like the Tony Hawk games I always thought were really fun, and like there's that movie mid-90s, which was cool. a
I
year
still
ago.
haven't seen it.
I like
I really
it.
want to watch it.
But anyway, all that skateboarding stuff, when I saw Scare XL, I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting, because it's a skateboarding game, but they did away with canned animations. So it apparently uses some sort of realistic physics engine, and how you choose to perform the trick, the input, the approach, all that will actually impact how it plays out. And then there's a built-in instant replay editor, so you can actually go show off, presumably online through like Switch's sharing tools or whatever, your unique tricks you're doing, and it's basically capturing the whole, like, from mid-90s, or really from skateboard culture that that's based on, the whole idea of, like, trying to do a crazy trick and make, like, a skate video and put it online, and that's, or share it with friends back in the 90s or whatever. So it's kind of interesting that's, like, the video game version of that. I don't know if they're going to nail it or not, but conceptually it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but I like my skateboarding games.
More arcadey.
Yeah, arcadey.
More of a Tony Hawk than a skate.
Yeah,
type of
like
person.
Tony Hawk 2, like where you're jumping over a helicopter with the spinning blades, or you're like in space, and like it's like you're playing on the Splatoon like Splatfest stage where like everything's like shifting around.
Yeah, because this definitely seems more
and you
to
get
be...
to play Spider-Man or the Iron Maiden dude, and you're like doing all these crazy stuff.
This is definitely more like EA Skate and not like what you're saying. But I do appreciate what you're saying because Tony Hawk was my go-to like extreme sports game in the early 2000s. You know, like the era
Game Boy
of
Advance. That's
yes,
crazy.
no, I was about yes, that's what I was about to say. I mean, it was the era of Tony Hawk and Dave Mirra BMX and aggressive inline. Anyone remember that
wasn't there a
one?
game on the GameCube called XXX?
There was BMX XXX,
BMX,
which was
yeah.
banned from being sold at Walmart and Toys R Us because it was too raunchy. And apparently there was like
about it.
They tried to make it as raunchy as possible.
Well,
that was the whole premise.
We'll speak after the podcast.
We can't do this on Uncensored Podcast, but it's raunchy enough that Walmart and Toys R Us said we're not selling it. It was raunchy enough that people...
Not just because of the title. Just
no, the whole game had like nudity and like all sorts of weird sex things and yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Someone at Acclaim was like, what if it was a BMX game, but it was also like Jackass on steroids and sexual, and we put it all in one thing. And apparently every step of the way red flags were raised by people inside Acclaim, and no one was like, yeah, we should stop this. Like, everyone's like, this is dumb. Who's going to buy this? And sure enough, no one bought it.
Now it's a footnote in history. So
Yeah. But, and aggressive inline. I already said that one, but I just love the fact that there was an extreme rollerblading game with the name of Aggressive Inline. Also from Acclaim. But, Tony Hawk was, like, the king of them all, for sure. Like, Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy Advance.
What's he doing nowadays?
Well, Tony Hawk, the series, Pro Skater, just turned 20 this week. Or this month.
But is it doing
He himself,
games?
They're not making new ones currently, but he himself seems to be...
I mean,
There was
wouldn't
a-
it be fair to say that it died when the last one came out and it never made it to 20?
There was a
If it still had a new game, then
anniversary, not birthday.
Okay, all right, there you go.
I think he has a game on mobile called Tony Hawk Skate. No,
Well, that's just confusing,
no,
'cause it's an EA
it's not.
Is it like you have to gotcha collect skaters and...
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
and
how
their spawn rates are like 2% for
I'm,
the
I'm
5-star
not.
skater.
I'm not sure how it plays. But it looks like it's just a mobile version of the Tony Hawk games.
Right.
Kind of,
The best mobile Tony Hawk, though, you already sort of said this, Angel.
Downhill Jam.
Actually, that one was really good.
No, I was kidding. Downhill Jam is not a good game.
I enjoyed it when I demoed it. I never played the full
Well,
one.
there's a
That's
difference
when you
between
didn't know what a
enjoying
good
and-
game was bad.
yeah.
or not,
Yeah.
There's a difference between enjoying a game.
We
and-
actually, way back when Ram 10 was...
Yeah, we
really
already established that. We enjoyed the heck out of Sonic R.
Yeah.
So.
I was just say, way back when Ram 10 first was like a daily blog, back when I was in high school, we interviewed Toys for Bob, the developers of Downhill Jam, before it came out, and they like actually... I don't know if intentionally or not, but like told us things I don't think were known yet, and then we published them. I think we broke news on features of that game. I don't
Are they
quite
still
remember.
around?
I don't...
Toys for Bob, don't they make Skylanders?
No, that's
Well, they-
Vicarious Visions who makes Skylanders. But
Oh.
Toys for Bob's still around too. Or made, past tense. Actually, Vicarious Visions, going back to Tony Hawk on Game Boy, because I keep trying to go to that, but keep getting sidetracked. That was their like coming out game. That was their big, like, when they showed off their skill, because Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy Advance, probably the best portable Tony
Oh,
Hawk game.
Toys for Bob
It
just
was-
Spyro Reignited.
Which game?
Oh,
I'm sorry?
Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy Advance was probably the best portable Tony Hawk game.
And they also did Skylanders.
Did you ever play Tony
was
Hawk's?
right.
They didn't start Skylanders. They hopped on later.
Well,
I thought you meant who like made Skylanders, not who like
Well, I mean,
did,
they make
did
Sky-
Activision assign years
they did
later.
a bunch of Skylanders. Damn.
But Vicarious Visions was the lead studio for
Yeah.
Skylanders.
To your point, which one did you say was the best?
Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy Advance. Back me up, Angel.
I will dispute
No,
that.
definitely not. The
Tony
Game Boy Advance
Hawk's
was the worst one.
Tony Hawk's American Skateland on the DS.
Okay, that one's actually very
That
good. Yeah.
that game
Yeah.
was awesome.
I only played the part 2, so I have no...
So
thing
here's the
to compare it to.
reason I think Tony Hawk... Okay, it's the nostalgia. Rose-tinted glasses with Tony Hawk 2 on Game Boy. But I remember it was a launch title for Game Boy Advance. And it felt like it was fully... Like, obviously it was sprites, but the movement was fully three-dimensional. Even though you're using
And
a
you were
D-pad.
stuck on the 2/3 camera like it's some
Right, it
weird
was,
RPG.
it was
Isometric,
isometric,
yeah.
but it's still... Think about, like, you buy a Game Boy. You come from the Game Boy Color, you go to Game Boy Advance. Everything's side-scrolling. It's Mario, it's Rayman, and then there's that. That was technically really impressive for its time. It felt like I remember it being like, how is this even possible? And it played well. Like I played it a lot.
I mean, it was a launch game, so what else are you gonna play?
Well, I had Rayman, I had Mario. That's it. Wow. Those two. But no, I was impressed.
Mario,
by
like Mario World? No, Mario 2, right?
Mario 2, yeah.
Yeah, Mario 2.
But yeah, and even like, I even went back for a few years and kept playing it. Like, it wasn't like just a launch game thing for me. I was really impressed by it. But, I mean, whether or not it was good or not, I guess, Vicarious Visions, it was the thing that blew him up.
Jason's game of the decade.
Because I didn't say that, but it, you know, they went on to do all sorts of stuff after they had success with this. I mean, they did all the Guitar Heroes for Nintendo platforms. They did Skylanders. They did
the Guitar Hero
All
DS?
dead franchises.
What?
All dead franchises.
Well, but at the time they were at their peak.
No, yeah.
Yeah, okay, fine. Here's one. Marvel Ultimate Alliance on Wii. That was them. And now it's back. So that one's alive.
But they're not the ones that worked on
But they made the original.
Which
I
was
guess,
dead.
right. Yeah.
Which died.
Well, of course it died. All games stopped being sold at some point. It's 2 generations old. What do
No,
you
like
mean?
their run of it. Like it's not like they went back. Like, hey, you guys made a killing with this series. We want you back for the third one.
I guess the history of a developer doesn't matter if they haven't done anything in the last year. but
Wait, Toys for Bob?
no, Vicarious Visions.
Oh,
But yeah, so I don't know.
well, they lived up to their name, I guess. Vicarious Visions.
I guess.
They were very vicarious.
Anyway, I don't know what Skater XL is going to be like compared to Tony Hawk, compared to Skate, compared to any of that. But it sounds like the closest we're going to get to any sort of skateboarding game in this day and age on Switch. So if you're interested, it comes out in 2020. And considering real skateboards and me don't mix, I might check it out because there seems to be some potential there. But while we're on games that have to do with physics, because this one's all about physics, what did you guys think of Youropa in the trailer, in the indie world? Because it was probably the most like, oh, this looks really high end. Like the graphics look really like polished, and it's also physics based.
Unfortunately, I guess not much. It didn't really catch my attention. Unfortunately.
Yeah, also didn't grab me. Not a lot of these did. If I'm
Yeah,
if
no,
I'm
a
being
fair
honest.
amount did. I think
Look, honestly, like, say what you will about the graphics, like, yeah, they're great, whatever, but, like, the gameplay or just, like, what, like, it's platforming of what it's doing with, like, it's Mario
it's
Galaxy.
Mario
kind of
Galaxy
thing.
meets Splatoon with a hint of
Like,
Portal,
immediately,
basically.
like, just kind of, like, made me go, like, oh, okay, like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's interesting because what caught my eye was how it looked, and what caught my eye was the concept. But then the actual puzzle gameplay they showed was it's just like you're touching
honestly,
tiles.
Like, honestly, I am more interested in that one game that I played at, was it GD? No, not GDC, at E3 that you showed me, where you're like, kind of the same idea. You're like in this 3D world, but it's like a puzzle where everything rotates around, except this one, it has kind of a different concept. Remember, everything is like very artsy looking, and if you fall down,
E3, the MCS Sure Come to Life game.
yeah, and if you keep falling, you can fall down
I don't know what
forever
that's
and eventually
called.
land on it.
Yeah.
Like everything just repeats on loop forever if you fall down, and you could fall like
Echochrome?
No.
It's like a first person.
like say like you're
Echochrome.
jumping from, you're trying to jump to a platform that's like 20 feet away. Obviously, you can't make that jump, but if you fall down, you'll keep falling down forever until you eventually land on that place that's 20 feet away, because everything just endlessly loops.
Yeah.
And you could also rotate everything around. Like, that seemed more interesting. But I think we've just come to a point where we've just played so many games over the years and played so many different concepts that, I don't know, it feels like we've already played something even if we haven't.
Yeah, you know what's...
And that's kind of what I feel about this game. I feel like I've already played it.
Europa. Yeah, it's fine because I initially...
Obviously, nothing wrong with it. If someone
Right.
else has had them play the games we have, then this looks
I
amazing.
initially was just like, oh, this looks pretty. What is this? And I looked it up, and here's the part where I'm like, oh, the thing is, it's been out on Steam for like a year apparently. It actually has good.
Isn't that like
reviews.
every indie game on here? It's like,
No,
oh, someone's been out for
actually,
two.
no. Skater,
I know most of them.
Skater
I
wasn't. Freedom Finger
I know,
isn't.
but-
The ones I'm calling out mostly aren't for that.
I know,
exact
but
reason.
most-
the Tourist won't be in.
Most indie games like that I come across, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Or like when I heard of Ultimate Chicken Horse, and then like Kevin told me like, oh yeah, like you should like keep an eye on this one, and it's like been out for like I think a year or two at that point.
It's been out for a while already.
But yeah, in this case, the reason I was saying it's been on Steam for years, it got like really good reviews a year ago. So even though at the gameplay, like I was saying, like the puzzles, you touch tiles. I don't know how exciting that is, but like something about it apparently is very good. So that's kind of like, oh, maybe it looks good for a reason in terms of graphics. I don't know, but yeah, like it's.
Yeah, and like I said, like, I'm sure it looks good, but I don't know. It feels like been there, done that. I guess.
I think the one interesting thing about it when I was reading up on it, because they didn't explain things in Indie World at all, which I know Kevin you sort of liked, but the whole game so it comes with a level editor, but the level editor is actually how they built the game. So anything the developers are able to do in the story, you're able to do kind of a similar thing on your own, or you're able to maybe even do more than what they do. Like, it's not like a game where it's like, here's the real game, and here's, like, the level editor. It's like half the game. They built the whole game using their level editor. So it makes me wonder, like, if they have an online sharing thing, I don't know if they do. Presumably they do, but if they do, that could potentially mean you basically get endless full-quality levels, assuming people know how to use the tools correctly.
But that's also something that's not new. Little Big Planet developers use the same tools that.
Is Little Big Planet made off the editor they built for people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
fair. He does look a little like Sackboy.
Don't get me wrong. It's still cool, but
no, I get what you mean. Yeah,
that's not something that I'm like, oh no way anymore, especially nowadays.
Right. We're a cynical bunch in the heat, aren't we? No, but I was gonna say I think there's one that also visually was cool that hopefully maybe caught your guys' attention. It caught my attention because of who it's by. And that was the Touryst from Shannon, who I used to always call Shinin, and then in the presentation they called him Shannon, and I'm like, have I been saying Shannon as Shinin incorrectly?
I mean, it's probably Shannon because it says Shin.
Oh yeah, wait. Perspiration update from Kevin.
I'm like at 20% right now.
He's at like 20% right now.
Yeah.
Oh, like I said.
Anyway, Shannon.
I've always pronounced it as Shin. I mean, it says Shin, and then there's like a star or some symbol, and then it's like N. So I don't know why you would say Shinin if like the E is not even after.
Well, you just said Shin.
So Shin star N.
Should be Shinin according to you, but it's Shannon, like E-N.
Well, it's still more correct than Shinin.
Whatever. Point is, we've all been saying it wrong, apparently. It's apparently Shannon.
All right, anyway.
Anyway, what?
There's that we again.
Well, yeah, you haven't. You're good. How did you used to say it? Did you ever say it?
No, never. I'm just saying.
There we go.
Don't let me into this mess.
Okay, but yeah, the regardless of their name, it's a very visually cool game.
It looks cool. It looks cute.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a huge surprise it's that cool looking because like Shannon, not Shinin, not Shinin, in Nintendo circles is known for visually cool games like Fast Racing, Fast Remix, and.
There was a game on the Wii U that I really, really loved by then. It was
Jet Rocket.
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
Art of Balance.
Don't even try. They also had one on the 3DS. It was
Nano Assault.
Yeah, Nano Assault. Thank you.
Oh, it took me 3 tries.
Yeah, I love that game. Which is pretty much just like the Nintendo version of Stardust because we didn't have Stardust.
Yeah, that's actually what's kind of interesting. Is like if you look at what Shannon makes, they basically go through and do. They keep doing a different genre. So they did like the puzzle game thing with Art of Balance. They did the shmup thing with Nano Assault and Nano Assault Neo. They did obviously the racing with Fast Racing. They even did like the Mario style 3D with Jet
they love the
Rocket.
voxel.
Yes, exactly. And what's interesting about the Touryst, which for some reason they spell with a Y, is it's basically voxel Link's Awakening. Like, it's very similar graphically. It's, they got like the really cool lighting effects, the tilt shift angles. They add one little thing where they have like real world weather effects on top, so if it's raining it looks like your little Lego set's being rained on, which is kind of cool. But yeah, for the most part this is basically their version of a Zelda game, kind of. The premise is that or the marketing premise, how they're pitching it, is you're visiting an island and you just kind of live your best vacation life. You talk to NPCs, you go around the island, there's an arcade with mini games, including a retro version of Fast, that's basically Super Nintendo F-Zero, which is kind of cool. You go for a swim, you explore the island. So yeah, it kind of sounds like Animal Crossing on the outset. But then as I was reading previews and learning a bit more, the island exploration you do ends up becoming a bigger and bigger part because that's what actually matters. Because what you do is you go and complete little puzzle dungeons, and that in turn opens up new parts of the island or new islands to go explore with more and more dungeons. So you're basically doing baby Zelda dungeons in between your explorations. So it's maybe almost like a rune factory, I don't know. But it's kind of like Diet Zelda is how I'm viewing it. And but in sort of like the relaxing genre, like Animal Crossing, like Harvest Moon, like Go Vacations, open world mode. I think that's kind of interesting. What's attracting me is the visuals, at least. But and obviously developers' pedigree. Like Shannon has a really good pedigree. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on the premise as much as I'm sold on how it looks. So we'll have to see. It kind of reminds me of, what's that elephant game? Remember the Elephant Zelda a couple years ago? It's kind of like that, but voxely.
Yeah, I passed hard on that one just because it just looked like another bender done that. Like,
right.
Except with an elephant. It's like, alright.
Yeah.
It's not going to make me get it just because you have put an elephant in a Zelda game.
It was an adorable elephant, though.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I'm hoping this one, because they have kind of relaxation genre stuff, maybe goes a little more than just it's a Zelda, but it definitely has a Zelda vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks very pretty, though.
It does.
Cute looking game.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are a few of the games showed in the earlier part of the Indie World presentation that got to be featured one by one. But then came the sizzle reel, which had some interesting stuff like a game called Fogs, I assume Fogs, in which you and I think another player together control a dog, and you're each the head of the dog on opposite ends of the body. So it's like cat dog, but it's dog instead of cat dog, because they're both dogs. But together you kind of use your stretchy body to like wrangle items and stuff. You have to like solve puzzles together. So that was kind of cool. And then there's another one called Hypercharge, which I think is basically a first-person shooter where you're a toy soldier. So it's basically Army Men on N64, but updated. So that could be kind of cool. But the one that started the reel is one that I know, Kevin, you've already sort of been dabbling in with, which is Blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
The game,
yes.
not you dabbling in it. The action's not Blasphemous.
So
Blasphemous.
So does it look like more than 2D Dark Souls, or is it more than just that?
The demo that I played, they released a demo on Steam, so I didn't really play this on Switch yet. I'm sure it'll run exactly the same on Steam. It's not a very visually demanding. It doesn't seem like a performance hog or anything like that. But yeah, it's 2D, which I'm not a fan of 2D like sprite games a lot, but I'm also not a fan of like how Hollow Knight looks. I'm not a fan of that art style, and that one's also very Dark Souls. But yeah, from the about 45 minutes that I played on it on Steam, it is very Dark Souls. There's little checkpoints that once you touch them, all the enemies that you killed come back to life. Your health gets replenished, and there's every item that you pick up has its own piece of lore to it that you can read up if you want to. You don't necessarily have to, but yeah, it's a little on the challenging side. I beat the boss on my second try, and I'm really looking forward to the final game. I've been needing a Dark Souls fix after Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3.
You want to replay Dark Souls on the Switch?
No, because that game was already like really bad when it came out, and I can only imagine on the Switch.
You know what Blasphemous actually kind of reminds me of is there's a game called Salt and Sanctuary.
Yes, so I'm not a fan of how Salt and Sanctuary looks. That game was developed by Ska Studios. Yeah, Ska Studios. I think
so. I should know. They sent us a copy like a year ago.
Yeah,
so.
That game.
Did we talk about it?
We did.
That game definitely looks closer to Dark Souls than this one does.
Yeah.
This one has sort of the mechanics of Dark Souls, but this one has a very gothic inspired visual style, while Salt and Sanctuary
more Bloodborne then.
That was
pretty gothy.
Yeah, more gothy. That one was a little bit more Victorian Lovecrafty. This one is more castles and stuff like that, which I guess
more Castlevania.
Yeah, it's definitely more Castlevania.
That's what I know. It's just in the footage that they put in the direct or the Indie World.
Nothing get past you.
Yeah, well, Salt and Sanctuary is definitely a 2D Dark Souls.
Yeah,
this one just has
this
one just has the mechanics of the Dark Souls, which I'm cool with. I don't mind these kind of games.
Well, if anyone doesn't have a way to play it on Steam, as in you don't have Steam, it's on Switch on September 10th.
September 10th, yeah.
Which is very soon, yeah.
Very soon.
It actually started as a Kickstarter, I found out.
Developed by some guys called The Game Kitchen. Yeah.
That is a name.
Yeah.
It's easier to pronounce than Shannon. But, yeah, so the same way that, like, because when we were making the list of what games we talked about, you're like, oh, Blasphemous. And the same way that sort of jumped out at you, What the Golf in the sizzle reel jumped out at me. I like the same, oh, hey, it's that game moment, because What the Golf, Angel, you and I tried it at E3 in 2018, I think.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, so we tried it back on PC. They had it at Indie Mixer we went to, and it's kind of a hard game to forget about, because like I actually like distinctly remember the developer's pitch when we walked up to the demo, or really the lack of one. We were asking them, like, what's the game's hook? Like, what makes it, what about it is like a unique golf game? And they just wouldn't tell us. They just said, have you played a golf game? Okay, this one controls similarly, and they handed us the controller, and I swing the club, and then instead of the ball going flying, the golfer, go flying. Like, so that's what's going on here. And then every level after that just got more and more kind of ridiculous with different ideas. So like my golfer, that was like a ragdoll physics sort of level one, and then it was kind of perfect introduction to the game, because then you got to see like how wacky it could get, and that's basically what the game is, which is kind of cool. It's like you never actually played normal golf. They have a game engine set up for normal golf, But then you just do things that are anything but. So there's the ragdoll, like I said. There's another where you're driving a car using golf physics. There's a third one where you're not going for the hole, but you're going for these other objectives around the level. There's some where you are going from the hole for the hole, but the hole moves on its own. But basically the through line through all this is you always have the golf-style gameplay. So you always have a cursor pointing where you want to go, then you launch your club to launch the object to send it forward. And once that's established, basically anything goes within that very simple mechanic. So some holes look like golf courses. Some look like crazy different things. The fun of it, at least in the demos, you never really know what's next. So it's kind of cool. It's actually kind of switched because it's going to be in the same vein as like Pool Panic from Adult Swim Games last year. It's just this very simple idea. In that case, it was pool. In this case, it's golf. Of here's the very basic mechanic you know from the real world. We're applying it to a video game, but then we're letting all hell break loose and do whatever we could think of, and they just run with it.
The amount of like wacky golf games that have come out in the last couple of years is crazy.
Yeah,
Dangerous Golf in, I think that was about 2 or 3 years ago. 100-foot robot golf. And now this.
And of course, there's also, it's not really wacky, but the something like Golf Story, where they're like, oh, what if we make golf an RPG? Which, granted, Mario Golf did first years ago. But yeah, it's interesting how
very unorthodox golf
exactly,
games.
Yeah, and then Pool Panic riffed on that with Pool. The difference with Pool Panic is it had like an overworld and like a story sort of. And I think what the golf is just you go level to level, kind of like a mobile game where it's just here's the next challenge and you just do it and try and get a high score. But yeah, it won't be hitting Switch or really any platform until 2020.
Oh, I
but
see what you did there.
There won't be I can't top that unintentional pun. But yeah, it won't be hitting until 2020. But it was nice to see like such a long time coming indie game finally be in the spotlight. There's been a few of those these past couple weeks. Like What the Golf, obviously, we haven't seen in over a year, and then it showed up. Moving Out, which is a new game from the guys that did Death Squared, is basically Overcooked, but for moving. That just got announced that Team 17, the publishers of Overcooked, are actually going to be picking that up as well. So that's coming next year, Switch. And then one I'm personally excited for, Untitled Goose Game, also just resurfaced just this past Friday with a launch date of September 20th, which is not only very soon, but also the launch date of the Switch Lite, meaning that when the game is actually out, when people go buy their Switch Lites and go to the eShop for the first time, they will be greeted by a giant goose, which is wonderful. I mean, also Link will be there. It's the same day as Link's Awakening, but still, giant goose when you first boot up the eShop on your brand new Switch Lite is like very
Giant
solid.
goose? It's a normal size goose.
But he's going to be in a big header image.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's going to be a giant goose honking at you if you click him and watch the video. But yeah, that's... You played Untitled Goose Game, didn't you?
Yep, yeah, we already talked about it ad nauseum here at the podcast.
Yeah, on like... It was like episode... It was a GC one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, go listen to that, folks.
Yes,
Takeaway was good or bad?
It's alright. It's fun. If you like puzzle games, you'll enjoy it. That's pretty much it.
There we go. Full impression can be found in episode 199. But back to my broader point. Lots of indies are resurfacing out of nowhere now. Shovel Knight. There's another one that came up out of nowhere. So for a while, Yacht Club Games has been saying the final DLC is coming, and then they're like, well, we don't have a date, but it's still coming. So King of Cards at some point's coming out, but then they also announced a multiplayer expansion for the game, kind of a game within a game called Shovel Knight Showdown, which is basically Smash Bros. With Shovel Knight in pixel art. Make of it what you will. But the one
so it's basically Rivals of Ether?
Yeah, essentially.
Which was announced for Switch already, but I don't know when that's coming out.
Indie games disappear for a while. That's my whole point. They take a while to resurface.
And yet they did just announce, like, I guess, Steam Workshop compatibility, and then they're like, oh, we hired this professional artist to create a character, but, yeah, still no Switch info. I mean, obviously the Switch doubt is going to get that Steam Workshop.
Listen, you could always play...
Smash Brothers, yes, I know.
Or...
Resident Evil or God of War, yes, I know.
Well, those are your personal. I meant there's another... What's the 2D one that Ubisoft makes now? Or Ubisoft bought?
Brawlhalla?
Brawlhalla, there we go.
That's true, that one is free. Or there's also Brawlhalla, but I don't think they've
Brawlhalla
really
now
done
has...
anything after the Ukulele DLC. So
Brawlhalla, that's true, they haven't really. And Brawlhalla at least has the Adventure Time characters now as DLC for free. If that interests anyone. But no, the thing about Shovel Knight, so they have this fighting game, but then they also announced a separate, totally new spin-off sequel sort of thing called Shovel Knight Dig. It's being developed by Nitrom, who did Bomb Chicken, which I think you actually talked about on the podcast once, but I don't remember.
I definitely never played that one.
Then what am I thinking of?
And I thought I talked about it.
Then what am I thinking of? I don't know. Did you play a game with a chicken and or a bomb?
Probably played a game with a chicken.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of Ultimate Chicken Horse and Bomberman. But, yeah, so those guys are making this new game. It's a new story, all new knights, entirely new graphic style. It's pixelated but higher res than Shovel Knight's been. And It has gameplay that's basically SteamWorld Dig or Mr. Driller. Lots of verticality, procedurally generated levels, the idea of emerging with more powerful items, only to then dig back down to find new areas. For Shovel Knight in particular, it feels like a pretty noteworthy departure. Part of the original pitch of the series was it was going to be about recreating the pixel-perfect level design of like retro 8-bit games. But now they're kind of doing a 180 because they're like, oh, it's procedurally generated. And I feel like this is just the latest franchise to hop on the whole I'm a roguelike now bandwagon that everyone seems to be doing. Which on one hand is fine. Like, Cadence of Hyrule pulled it off well. But like, we were talking before, you guys are bringing up the point that nothing feels...
Isn't that one not roguelike? Cadence of Hyrule? Because I know...
No, it is.
I know Death of the Necro... Or Crypt of the Necrodancer, that one's definitely roguelike. But I want to say Cadence of Hyrule was actually...
They're the same.
That one was actually like designed with intention.
No,
like
yeah, so it's like different tile sets.
Yeah, they have different tile sets that shuffle around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but so it's like a rogue. It's a roguelike.
Like, yeah, one felt more structured than the other.
Yeah, no, Cadence is more structured.
It's more structured, but like items are still randomly placed around the.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I can't help but get the feeling that this roguelike thing, like, are they milking this a little too much? Like, is it going to feel long in the tooth pretty soon in the same way that, like, 2D artsy indie platformers did for us?
It felt really saturated a couple of years ago with stuff like Enter the Gungeon, Nuclear Throne. I can name a bunch of these.
Right. Keep going.
Binding of Isaac.
Binding of Isaac was the exception because that one...
That was, like, the OG one, kind of.
Oh, yeah. That's the one that... satisfy my roguelike, and then after that...
Like in the Renaissance. It wasn't the OG roguelike, but it was definitely the
OG of the Renaissance.
The OG of the Renaissance.
Isn't that... What's the one where, like, you start the game dead, and you're like... I want to say you're decapitated or something. But it's like a 2D action game, but that one's also a roguelike. All the enemies are spawned...
Oh, Dead Cells?
Dead Cells.
Yeah.
I think of them.
Oh, yeah.
That came out recently.
But yeah, are we going to hit a wall here? Like, does SteamWorld... Wow, I'm calling it SteamWorld because I was digging it. Does Shovel Knight need to make a roguelike? Can they just...
I definitely don't think that we're seeing as many roguelikes as we saw a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. I just thought of another one. Rogue Legacy.
That one has Rogue right in the name.
Yeah. But I definitely think that we're not seeing as many as we used to. And, I mean, a lot of people like Shovel Knight. I really dug it. Damn it.
We corrupted him. It took 3 episodes. That's all it took.
To.
Oh, I'm so proud right now. So proud.
Like a proud papa?
Pretty much. You are my podcast children.
Oh, God, no. This has been my last episode, folks. I hope you guys...
I need a... What's that paper I could sign? Emancipation or whatever?
Emancipation Papers.
Yeah.
Well,
Emancipation Proclamation.
Good luck finding that for a podcast. But, okay, so maybe I'm being a little too overreactive. I mean, I'm probably going to get it because I actually like the look of it a lot. I'm just kind of like, are we going to hit a wall where, like...
Well, I think it's fine when it's just like a skinned roguelike. Like, people like Shovel Knight, so let's just make that type of game. Yeah. With the Shovel Knight skin on it. I think that's much easier to swallow than an entirely brand new game.
Yeah, because I feel like if it's a brand new game, you're just going to be like, I already played enough of these. But if it's like, like you said, a series you're already into, then, yeah.
Makes sense. There's one, unless there are any other thoughts on Shovel Knight, there's one more indie we have to talk about from Indie World that before we forget, which is Ori and the Blind Forest, which I believe was one that you called out on our list, Angel.
Well, you told me find something I'm interested in.
Yep, so you said you're interested, so go ahead, please, continue.
I'm definitely not so much interested in the game, just more interested in, like, its art style and direction, because, damn, that game looks amazing. Like, I really just want to know, like, the making of that game, just because its visuals, like, it's a 2D platformer, but it has this really amazing looking 3D / flashy look, like, flash animation look to it, that just kind of perplexes me. Like, I don't know how they did it. Like, I just want to know.
It's all hand painted, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. Like, it looks amazing. And then, like, the sequel, like, looks even more crazy. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's definitely one of those games that, like, obviously, like, pushed its art style and direction like that, like, to the limit. Like, nothing looks. There isn't a 2D platform right now I could think of that looks that, like, shocking or that, like, just that beautiful off the top of my head. The gameplay looks fine.
It's a Metroidvania.
It looks like a run-of-the-mill, like reactive platformer. Like, I'm sure it's fun, but I'm definitely in it more for, like, just its looks. Like, yeah, it's one of the few games that just, like, hooked me on how it looked, and damn, it's a looker.
I don't know why it's a liquor. But yeah, no, it's supposedly, well, gameplay-wise, it's supposedly
I mean,
very
I've
good
only ever heard
Metroidvania.
really good things about it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Apparently it gets really hard at the end.
like the last E3 press conference, like when they showed off the sequel, like it was like one of the, like the last game they showed, or one of the games that got like a huge reaction. So like it's obviously like a really big deal.
Right.
But kind of a shame that it sounds like we probably won't get the sequel.
We may. It's hard to say, but
I mean, I hope so, because I don't want to buy an Xbox just to play that.
well, see, there's two ways of looking at it, because like I think it.
Is it on PC?
Microsoft, it
is on
is.
PC.
And it'll probably be on Game Pass, so whatever Game Pass shows up on. But that's what kind of struck me as interesting about Ori is,
Is Game Pass a PC thing also, or what?
yeah,
It is. Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
is it a
and a
Mac
TV thing.
No, it's
Not yet.
confirmed for Mac yet.
They want to get it all over, so give it time. But you could get it on like an Xbox. No, but I was gonna say that as the thing that kind of like blew my mind about Ori, and to your point about like how do you play it, where do you play it? Like, how weird is it that there's an Xbox logo in a Nintendo presentation? Like, we've kind of been primed for this. We had, the Microsoft shout for Cuphead, we had Banjo and Smash, but to see an actual Xbox, we've had crossplay, but to
the fact
see...
you have to log into a Microsoft account to play Minecraft.
Yeah, even that, but like, I don't know, just seeing the actual Xbox logo specifically was kind of different. But it is, they are going that way. I don't think you should rule out that the sequel won't come to Switch, because here's the thing, like, for Microsoft, it makes sense, at least for now, to start putting some of this old stuff on the system, right? Because, like, Ori and the Blind Forest
and old stuff, like, even, like, the old Nintendo exclusive games, or exclusive indies started making their way to other stuff.
Yeah. Well, but that's a little different, because Microsoft actually funded Cuphead and
you're
bought,
right.
and owns this.
Those are just
this is them.
Regular indies that are probably just waiting for the contract to finish to make more money.
Yeah, but what's interesting about this to me is, like, okay, so the original game was 4 years old now. The definitive edition, which is what Switch is getting with extra difficulties and a quicker map and new areas and all that, is 3 years old. So, in the same way that Nintendo is kind of using its mobile device games to kind of share their IPs with new audiences and hopefully get them to buy into future installments on Switch, I feel like Microsoft's going, well, we got Will of the Wisps coming out. I think that's what the sequel's called, right?
Yeah.
What if we try and attract more people to it by having the first one on Switch? And, the same way that a mobile phone person might go buy a Switch, maybe a Switch person will go buy an Xbox to play some of this stuff.
Yeah, not if they have a PS4 already. But
even then, you never know. Maybe if there's enough exclusives, it'd be worth their while. But the fun layer in this scenario is that the installing on Xbox doesn't have to mean it's on Xbox hardware, because Game Pass, like we were saying before, it's playable on Game Pass, and there is a chance it's coming to Switch, Game Pass.
Just out of curiosity, are there any exclusives on Xbox or PS4 that you wish were on Switch? Ignoring the fact whether it could even like run on Switch, just pretend that any game could run on it.
Persona 5.
I'm just curious if there's like a game that you've always like just been curious about, but you're like, well, it's not on there, so there's no problem.
I think there was more so last generation. Uncharted.
Oh, you okay?
I'd be curious about Uncharted.
Interesting.
Spider-Man on PS4.
Oh, you would be.
Yeah, I would be. R.I.P. Spider-Man in the MCU. Who else? What else? On the Xbox side, like, I really like Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon.
Wait, you like them driving sims?
No, that's not the sim one. That's the arcade one. It's so fun.
Okay.
Every E3 that they have it at, I make sure to go demo it just because it's the only fix I get of it. It's really fun. And then they have, like, the Lego cars in it.
Oh, okay.
Some of the stuff they showed at the Xbox conference when I was there that I'm forgetting, not the big stuff, like Gears, whatever, but there are some smaller projects. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool, but then I forgot what they were. Yeah, Cyberpunk would be nice.
The most interesting stuff is the more indie stuff.
Yeah. But and the thing is, like, I don't think it's not a possibility that it's going to be on Switch. It won't physically be on Switch. We're not going to get a cartridge of it, but they want Game Pass on as many devices as possible. So even if Ori and the Blind Forest comes to Switch as a real game,
Bless you.
Gesundheit.
Will you calm down?
All right, thank you.
God can only bless you so many times.
That's why I like saying Gesundheit, although technically it's just German for bless you.
Or just wait till the end.
But God doesn't have time to wait. He's a busy deity. Anyway, what I was going to say is just because it's not physically coming to Switch doesn't mean it won't be playable on Switch. Because if Microsoft's whole revenue pitch now is, Game Pass is our future, if you want the best Game Pass experience, get it on Xbox. But if you just want to be able to play these things, maybe at a lower res or something, you can do it on your smartphone. You can do it with an iPad. That's how you can play.
Really?
I think you do it with an iPad.
Doesn't that contradict what they just
Well, that's the interesting thing. So they did just tell GamesIndustry.biz that they have no plans to put games on anything that's not their own platforms. xCloud is their platform. It's just cloud-based. xCloud's their
Anytime any
Stadia.
company says they don't have plans, that really means
Also,
that we just can't
it's-
announce it yet.
Also, the other thing about that, besides piggybacking off what Angel said, is
Nintendo said they had no plans to bring a Super Nintendo Mini.
right. But not just that, but the interview is weird because the headline is, we're not bringing games to other platforms. But then if you read the actual quote, they're saying we're not bringing games from our newly acquired studios like Obsidian and Outer Worlds. Once they're done with those commitments they already have, they're going to focus on our platforms. That's what the actual quote is. And then it was sort of turned into that headline. So
Well, they
I
gotta
don't
put bread
think they'll
on the
do.
table, so-
I don't necessarily think they're going to do day one. Like, it's not going to be like Gears 5 is going to be playable on Switch next week when it comes out. But I don't see why when Game Pass is big enough and on as many platforms as possible, they're not going to make a Switch option. You'll need a stream. You'll need a connection to play. You'll need to pay for the subscription. So it's not truly on Switch. But if you're at home with your Switch or somewhere with a hotspot and you want to stream the game down, that's their business model.
I
these
don't
days.
know, man. That's sort of heading into that like utopia of that
Stadia,
gamers want to
Gaikai
just,
kind of
yeah.
There is some of that, sure, but like, how's that much different than them putting it on a smartphone? From their perspective, they don't consider the Switch a competitor, clearly, because they put all their stuff on it currently. In their mind, I think they see Switch as like, oh, we're never gonna make a handheld. Let's just dump some stuff on there and get some audience. So if they can get that audience to pay them $10 a month, that they wouldn't pay anyway because they're not gonna go buy an Xbox.
You know how Cuphead did?
I don't know. They haven't put out exact numbers, but well is what I've heard.
Don't do this.
But-
Oh, you're right.
You almost were free of sales
man.
corner. You still are free of sales corner. But yeah, so I don't know, like, honestly, if Game Pass was going to come. The quote is kind of possibly misleading, possibly spot on, but it seems clever to be like, hey, here's Ori. Do you like Ori? Check out the sequel on Game Pass. Whether that means they have to go buy an Xbox, or that means they pay them a $10 a month subscription, this is priming the pump for people to want the sequel. And there's a chance it could stream to Switch, hypothetically. And while they haven't outright said they're bringing Game Pass to Switch, they have, at GDC, showed off dev tools that allow people to integrate xCloud and Xbox achievements and all that into their Switch games. So it's like halfway there. So I don't know. It is a bit of a like utopian dream of, oh, well, if it's all kumbaya between Microsoft and Nintendo and they merge into one mega company, but they're still independent, but Switch gets all benefits and Microsoft doesn't get any Nintendo exclusives. Who knows what will happen? But like, we're further down that path than we've ever been. So it's possible. But that's kind of the funny thing about like all these third-party stuff. Like, if you take a step back, whenever we talk about third parties with Nintendo, it's never a simple they support them, they don't. It's always this weird will they, won't they, where it's like a company's going to support Nintendo, then they say they won't, but then they say maybe they will, and then they do, but then they stop, but then they start, but then they say you didn't pass the litmus test, and then it just keeps going and going and going. Like, I can't think of that being that's not an issue with PlayStation, that's not an issue with Xbox, right? It's just because of Nintendo's weird history that they had this sort of like Jim and Pam relationship with their third parties that just never seems to end. And the case in point,
Jim and Pam?
The Office.
Oh, that's right.
You watched the entire series.
Yeah,
Leslie and Ben.
Leslie and Ben's a better personal choice, I would
Leslie
say.
and Ben?
Parks and Rec. It's another series you've watched.
Oh, I saw them once. And
Leslie and Ben didn't feel as will they, won't
they're,
they as
they're good
Jim
shows,
and Pam.
but
Like, Leslie and Ben seemed more destined the whole time. Jim and Pam were like,
Yeah, it's fine. Parks and Recreation is better than The Office. Watch it.
100% agree. We should high five, but no one will know on the pod. Oh, that's weird. We should. It's
We-
the key.
you
It's
think
the
no
Oh
one-
key.
yeah, it just
did you
it
think
was
no,
like
did
it
you
was like
think no one will hear it? They'll obviously
No,
hear it.
because I feel
it was like two raw chickens coming together.
because of the heat. It's the heat. But anyway, what I was starting to say was a good example of this whole stupid will they, won't they is EA. Like, never mind Microsoft. Like, they're doing stuff that I feel like people weren't guessing until recently because they were Microsoft. But EA, oh god. It was 2 episodes ago, literally just 2 episodes ago, that we talked about how EA was saying they don't plan to support Switch. That was from their CEO. Their data showed that most people will buy their games on Xbox and PlayStation. They don't need to bring them to Switch. But then, in a Game Informer interview, in the last 2 weeks, now their chief studio officer is straight up saying the opposite and contradicting the CEO and saying that Switch is, quote, absolutely a platform we're looking at for some of our most successful games, and that they want to expand their portfolio to include the Switch. 2 polar opposite comments, 1 month, 1 third party. Why? Why?
EA doesn't exactly have the strongest record of having the same the same messaging.
That's true.
Especially like recently, they've had so many, not flops, but they've had so many
Anthems.
Battlefield.
Yeah.
Not Battlefield. Battlefront.
Apex even. Like Apex did great and then sort of petered off.
No, but I'm saying like messaging wise, they have not been the strongest when it comes to their consumers.
Keeping them informed.
Not necessarily just keeping them informed,
just having
but
a straight message as a company, or
they're
strategy.
very. I guess you can chalk that up to like just them being just their internal studios flubbing messaging to their consumers. But I mean,
there was Apex last week where they were calling out their consumers' names. That was my friend plays Apex, and he was texting me like, "What did I do? Why do I deserve this?" I'm like, I don't think it's you, but okay.
Yeah, so it's their. And you said that this was a studio head, or
this was the head of all their studios. Their studio chief.
Okay, so
right under CEO.
So I guess it makes sense that why all these studios are having so many.
But it's
issues.
just kind of annoying because, like, as a show about Nintendo news, we always end up talking about like, oh, who's supporting Switch, who's not, why not, and it's relevant to Nintendo, like whether or not these companies actually say what they mean. I feel like we're still always talking about what they're saying because whether they're running around with the chicken with their head cut off or not, like they still are saying like impactful things about the platform we cover, so it's bizarre. And I feel like we got EA's back and forth, Microsoft's contradiction, that quote that you brought up from games industry, that came out the same day as Ori was announced for Switch, so it's not like they're contradiction free either. Literally the day that Ori comes out, they're like, yeah, we're not supporting other platforms as we announced this game.
I think there's like, this is the last one that you guys are getting, just FYI.
Yeah, even though it also sort of isn't, because we're getting the Outer Worlds soon.
True. Yeah.
So I guess what I'd like to propose to all Nintendo fans, and especially ourselves because we cover this stuff, is while we will likely hear quotes like this again, contradictions, let's collectively, together as Nintendo fans, just look at their actions instead. Because I think that's a much better way of doing it. Because like those speak louder than words, obviously. And sure, EA may decide they're going to bring more games to Switch, but as players, like, are we getting full experiences? Are we getting weird half attempts? Because like literally within days, again, a contradiction of their studio head being like, oh, we want to bring our biggest games to Switch. EA puts out a list of how half-ass FIFA 20 is. They put out a list of, here's everything you do not get in the Switch version of FIFA 20. It's like, that's weird when 2 days earlier, or 3 days earlier, like, we want to support Switch. And then 3 days before that, or 3 weeks before that, your CEO's like, we don't care about Switch. It's like, well, I would go with the action of the lesser game over any of their comments.
EA always does this, like, when, during the PS3 generation, around the world, PS2s were still getting sold by the truckload. Mm-hmm. And FIFA 13 over there would be like FIFA 11 or FIFA 12.
Right. But with the newer roster.
Yeah,
which is what they're doing for Switch, which is fine, except PS2 was on its last leg. Switch is clearly in its prime, so it's a little funky. And what's really funny is that happened the same week that the head developer of NBA 2K20 did an interview where he outlined how identical the Switch version is to every other version.
Good.
So
take those swings, man.
Exactly. So that's my point. It's like it's probably better just look at their actions and their words, or like even if you look at someone like Blizzard, right? Like they've released a grand total of one Switch game. That was Diablo 3, but they put a lot of effort into making it good for Switch. They gave it an amiibo. They worked with Nintendo on a co-marketing program for it. And even though technically they have a smaller output on Switch than EA, I feel like most people are cool with what Blizzard's doing because they're putting good products out and they're trying. Like, no one is going, where's Blizzard? They're just like, oh, cool, they gave us Diablo, and then this rumor popped up that they're also giving us Overwatch, and I feel like that's just like...
Didn't they say they weren't?
What?
Didn't they say they weren't?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, a long time ago when they asked them.
Oh, a long time ago. Yeah. Again, actions, not words.
I know. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, like this rumor popped up last week that Overwatch is soon going to be announced for Switch. And I feel like even when that happened, nobody was like, but where's all their other games? Where's my StarCraft? Where's my Hearthstone? Where's my this? Well, not Hearthstone. Oh, yeah, that is them. Where's my Warcraft? Where's this? Where's that? And it's just like, oh, Overwatch.
That's pretty much all their games.
Yeah, but it's no one, like when EA's like, we're doing this, everyone's like, where's Need for Speed? Where's da-da-da? But when Blizzard does it because they just do good products, people are like, oh, cool, they're supporting it in this way. I appreciate that. The leak of how Overwatch, or the leak of Overwatch is actually kind of funny, though. So Amazon uploaded a listing for a Switch case with an Overwatch logo on it. And it said in the listing that it's copyrighted, or it is licensed from Nintendo and Blizzard. And there's no reason they would license that unless Overwatch was coming to Switch. So, there you go. Confirmation. But it's just like a weird way to announce a game. But
Paladins will finally have some competition.
Yeah.
I wonder how voice chat would work over.
Oh, horribly!
Well, no.
Right?
They can do it with Vivox's SDK and have it in the game. That's what Fortnite does. That's what Paladins does. You just hook a headset up to your Switch. Nintendo's open to both now.
I wonder how this community would be, though. I don't know how the Xbox. I don't know how the Xbox or PlayStation. Will this crossplay? Maybe
Diablo did not.
Maybe to Xbox and PlayStation. I doubt it would crossplay into PC.
Does the PC Overwatch crossplay with the consoles?
No, it does not.
Okay, then never mind. Because I was gonna say Rocket League does crossplay PC, Xbox, Switch. So.
And Fortnite does as well, but
not anymore though. Now they just made it switch to. It's just Switch and mobile people, and then
yes, they switched Fortnite because they realized something with how the game runs on Switch is more how it runs on mobile in terms of frame rate and everything. So they
don't have a huge advantage because they have control.
Yeah, so they've synced those up because it's actually dragging down the experience for Switch players against other consoles.
Okay, so
which is interesting.
Maybe this won't have crossplay.
Maybe not. I mean, Diablo didn't, so. But it's still kind of cool that we're getting it in some capacity, and the timing makes sense.
The devil's in the details.
Yeah, exactly. The devil's in the details of the timing. Like Diablo 3 was announced. I know, I'm running with it. But Diablo 3 was announced for Switch mid-August last year. And while that specific time is kind of gone, Nintendo does traditionally have a September Direct that could play host to the news of a new Overwatch. We know something is coming because, according to a photo of GameStop's internal system that came out on the interwebs the other day, 17 new unknown Switch SKUs were added to their database last week. So something's coming. I mean, we're right in the window where Nintendo always does a Direct. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Overwatch pop up there. I've heard rumors it could be October 27th it comes out, which is 2 weeks before when Diablo did last year. So like the timing's close to the same. So that makes sense.
There was a rumor that Tracer was going to be the next
Smash character.
Smash character.
So about that.
Which I do not personally know how they would incorporate. I guess, what's his name? Mega Man and one of the Mii fighters does have a blaster, and that's what she is. She is a shooting character.
Right.
So I guess they could incorporate her that way, but I just don't see it. Not especially not with her.
I also didn't see coming how they would incorporate like Arsene or like the Mii or the hero. No, Arsene from Persona, like the Persona dude.
Wait, he has another name? Joker.
No, Joker.
His persona is Arsene.
Oh.
Did you think his persona was just called Persona? I will hit you.
I didn't think about it. I never gave it any thought. I thought it was his persona. I didn't think it was named Persona.
No.
It's not like he's like, "Hi, I'm Joker. This is Persona next to me." No, I thought it was just his persona.
No, like before they showed how,
I feel like I spared myself.
I had no idea how they were going to incorporate
our
sentence in the game, or let alone a hero. Like the fact they included this hold down B thing.
Oh, for hero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, they obviously are willing to get really creative with it, especially like the fact that she blinks around the field and she has like this like back in time travel mechanic also. So that could also be interesting.
Here's the thing. I don't think she's actually coming to Smash.
No, yeah.
Well, let me rephrase. I think there's a 50.
It's a fun thought exercise.
I think honestly, it's a 50-50 chance.
Well, it'll happen or it won't.
No. But I mean, like, I'm not saying like, oh, there's only.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, listen, guys. Either it will or it won't. That's my prediction. We're gonna have her or we will not. No, but I think
a chance as Doom Guy and any of those people that people have.
What?
Already.
The Doom Guy rumor.
Yeah, the Doom Guy rumor.
I'm sure she has a good chance as any of those other.
No, I don't know. She, in a way, like from a marketing angle, it almost makes more sense because like Diablo was co-marketed by Nintendo. They did Amiibo and all that. Overwatch is bigger than Diablo at the moment.
And Switch still didn't even get Persona 5.
Yeah, sure.
And Switch didn't get Persona 5. That's kind of my other point. But then, Overwatch is Blizzard's biggest franchise, right? So if they're going to do some sort of how do we one-up the thing we did with Diablo, you put her in Smash. That's how you do it. And you get that whole Overwatch crowd that maybe doesn't own Switch to be like, oh, maybe I should consider Smash. That's a huge audience. That's where it makes sense. Where it doesn't make sense is this whole logic that any time a major third-party game comes to Switch, it must mean they're coming to Smash. Like, I don't know when that started. Joker, to your point, is the prime example of how that is not the case.
Well, they're getting, like, Persona Warriors.
Yeah, but that's a little different. And how do you feel about Persona Warriors, Kevin?
I'm going to buy it. I'm probably not going to enjoy it.
You're legally obligated to buy it.
Yeah, as a Persona fan, I think you have to buy it.
Yeah.
It's in the contract.
But, what was I saying? But yeah, it's not like Joker led to normal Persona coming to Switch. It's not like Banjo-Kazooie means we're getting a new Banjo-Kazooie on Switch. There's not even a new Banjo-Kazooie that we know of. It'd be cool as a rumor going to E3 that
We
I was
already
very
knew
much
we were
in favor
getting-
of, but...
And we already knew we were getting Dragon Quest 11 before.
Right, and
Youropa.
that one, like, Nintendo's publishing it, so it's a little different. Like, Bayonetta became a Nintendo second-party game, so that's a little different when they brought her to it. But, like, it doesn't... I mean...
Although that was... To Bayonetta's thing, like, I remember when that became a Nintendo property, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, that means she's coming out in Smash Bros. Even though a lot of people were saying, like, well, how? She's a rated M character, but they still made it
they
work.
made it work. Like, I would honestly think that...
That's probably the only time where that whole mentality actually...
Yeah, and I would say that, in my opinion at least, Doom Guy has a stronger 50-50 chance than Tracer does. That's not how math works. Because Doom Guy is a...
50.99.
Exactly. Because
Technically, it's still 50%.
it is, yep, thank you. Because Doom Guy has legacy and history of Nintendo platforms. Like, if they're going to do...
Yeah, because Joker does, and all these other...
No. But my point is, if they're going to do someone that
Actually,
ties...
Joker's the only one that kind of falls into that.
Yeah. And it doesn't
Joker's
make sense.
perfect.
But the thing I was going to say is, the only reason I
Franchise, guess,
think
does, but-
Doom Guy has more of a chance than Tracer, because they're both just, oh, these third-party support Nintendo now, yay, is because Doom Guy has history. There's Doom 64, there's the old Dooms, there's all sorts of Dooms over the years. Every Doom's on Switch now. It's a little weird to be like, that game that's never been on Switch is now on Switch, and at the same time, here's the character from it in Smash. Because even Dragon Quest, they have a history on DS. They started on NES. There's still that connection there. Joker's the one exception to everything we're saying. From any
My
angle.
boy.
Yeah. And Cloud was a fan
well,
thing. And again, because he has history in the industry.
I know. Cloud and Persona are kind of... They're in the same boat. Like, the characters and
Yeah.
their games have, like, no history, but the franchise is kind of...
Right.
Excuse
Persona.
me.
Persona
with
has...
Nintendo, but the
Yeah,
franchise...
No,
yeah.
all the Persona spin-offs and
I
all
know,
the...
that's what I was going to
yeah,
say.
for
Like,
on
the
DS.
franchises
Yeah.
do, but not the characters and
Exactly,
their specific
but
game.
Overwatch has nothing. So to be like, oh, and even Minecraft. Like, Minecraft Steve even makes more sense, because Minecraft is the biggest selling Wii U game in Japan, somehow. Back in the day. It was the single...
It's still in the top of the best-selling charts
on the
eShop.
Switch, yeah. It's having a resurgence because PewDiePie and them are streaming
yeah.
it again. Oh, yeah, no sales numbers. We're doing a sales-free episode. Oh, yeah, for those who don't know, I was like, there's no Jason Sales Corner, and these guys are so thrilled, and then they bring up sales more than I brought up sales. Take note of that. I did not mention a single thing.
Didn't you say it's the best-selling console?
One of you asked me...
You said it was still the best-selling, Minecraft. And I just said, like, yeah, it's still there on the eShop.
Fine.
Yeah.
Point is, all those other rumors have, like, weight behind them. Tracer, just because Overwatch coming to Switch, unless they want to one-up Diablo, I don't know why she would. But I could see them doing it for just that reason. I just don't know if that's enough.
They should
reason
put a
to truly
Hearthstone
believe it.
card. Like
They should
physical
put
Just a card. That should be an item.
Leroy Jenkins in the game.
I could see that being like
That'd
if
be
they made
great.
like a new item that was like
Or a
assist
font.
trophies that was just like a Hearthstone card, then Leroy Jenkins could come out. He could literally just say that and just like rush and then disappear.
I feel like there's a weird meme threshold Nintendo doesn't cross, and that's that. Like, they're not going to do that, I suspect. But we can dream. We can dream. But anyway, to the broader point about third parties I was making, what's nice is that because of all these different companies' actions, we kind of know what to expect and kind of gauge ourselves. You know, like, oh, EA doesn't do anything. We know that. Blizzard, they do good stuff. We know that. And, like, even, like, a good example of this, I guess, would be Capcom, who, they've released a total of one original game on Switch, which is Mega Man 11. But they have pumped out so many ports and so many, like, enhanced collections and whatnot that, and they're still announcing some, by the way. They just announced Mega Man Zero/ZX collection. And, like, I don't think there's anyone that's going, Capcom, where are your... Like, no one's... People might be like, oh, I don't need this collection, I already have this collection. But I don't hear very many people be like, Capcom doesn't support Switch. Because in their
I'm not
own
saying
way...
Capcom Wars Capcom 3, but that would be a port. I'm not even asking
Right.
for a new game.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, you are gauging your demands based on their actions.
Yeah.
People are now knowing Capcom does this sort of thing, and they're fine with that. So Capcom actually has a really steady stream of games.
Honestly, would it mind if
And
they
no
gave us
one-
Street Fighter 4, like, the final version of it?
Yeah,
Like,
or
that'd
something
be great.
like that. And what's funny is, like, they always...
People would honestly really love that.
They would. The nostalgia factor, too. Yeah, it'd be huge.
Well, I mean, people still say that's the best Street Fighter right now in years, so... I mean, considering how bad Street Fighter 5 is doing, just
Right.
popularity-wise...
Yeah. But what I was going to say is, like, it's funny because if you look at, like, Capcom's probably the biggest example of them always be like, oh, we're seeing how the audience responds. We'll bring over Resident Evil. We'll see how it does. And they're like, no, it did great. So here's some more old Resident Evil, whatever, their tests are. They're the ones that say it the most in their financials. They're always like, oh, we're testing the audience. But no one seems to care anymore because the output's actually very strong. Because have a decent enough number of games to look at that people are like, okay, that's what Capcom does. They are a port machine. They give us Phoenix Wright. They give us Mega Man. They give us Resident Evil. They give us another Resident Evil bundle. They give us a different Phoenix Wright bundle.
Monster Hunter Generations.
They give us Monster Hunter Generations. And people seem okay with that. So, when Zero and ZX Collection was announced, the general tone, at least what I saw online, was really pretty positive because... here's all 6 Zero games in one collection, not just the Game Boy ones.
They didn't give us the Saturday morning Nintendo.
See, exactly, but that only felt weird because they give us everything else.
That's right. Yeah.
Their actions are now setting the tone, which is how it should be.
Considering those are all on NES, which is
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, but that one was kind of weird, now that you mention it. And what's also kind of funny is they have their Disney games coming out, but not through them. But we'll get to that in a sec. What I was going to say is the Zero Collection actually sounds kind of cool, if you're a fan of those games. It's 6 games, all 6, plus HD scaling, increased difficulty mode, the usual art galleries and music, $30. That's not a bad value. And then as I was starting to say, Disney. Those games are now coming to Switch too. The Capcom games, specifically.
Well, one of them wasn't Capcom. The Loin King wasn't Capcom.
The Loin King.
The Loin King?
Yeah,
the Loin King.
So the spine on the promo art of the box for the Switch version of Disney classic games, Aladdin and The Loin King, had a typo.
Oh, we're still doing these?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still do typos.
Typos on the spines?
Yeah,
Yep.
we had
still a thing.
We had Revelatins, and there's a Naruto one that also had a typo. I don't have it, but I have the Revelatant one.
So
Resident Evil Revelatant.
Both games were a collaboration, from my understanding, between Virgin Interactive when they still existed and Capcom. Capcom published, Virgin developed. So Disney's actually, let's take the code back, and now they're releasing them as a collection. What's interesting is, unlike the Capcom collections, there's only 2 actual games here, but they're putting every version. It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, because the Sega and Super Nintendo ones were different.
Yeah, so they're putting in the Genesis editions, the Game Boy editions, the Super Game Boy editions, and in the case of the Lion King, the Super Nintendo edition. For some reason, the Super Nintendo Aladdin... Was there a Super Nintendo Aladdin?
There was, and it is the superior version.
So that seems to not be here for one reason or another.
There is a reason. I forget why, but there is a reason of why. No, I think it had to do something with the developer.
Oh, the sound always sounded better on Super Nintendo though. But
I will give them credit though. They maybe don't have the Super Nintendo Aladdin, but they are putting stuff in this collection that I've never seen a company do, which is actually really cool. They're doing a new Final Cut, so it's actually a slightly different version of the game, and the original demo when they first showed it to the public at CES or whatever in 1993. They are putting that, which is different from the actual game, as a thing you can play, which is kind of cool. And on top of all that, they're doing this really interesting thing called interactive game viewing, where you can let the game play itself all the way through, and you can jump in at any moment in time, which I rarely have seen.
That's kind of like what Stadia wants to do, right?
Yeah. It's like what Stadia wants to do, but except Stadia,
you're ambitious.
Yeah, yeah. But with Stadia, it's you're either watching someone else playing and you join them, you hop in their queue, or you're watching a trailer and you just jump into that moment in the trailer. You don't have the whole.
Whether they want to, you're like, whoa, where did you come from?
Exactly.
You just show up. It's supposed to be a one-player game.
Yeah,
that's cool. I can't wait to play these on Switch.
Yeah, it should be cool, and it's nice that's kind of switched on the other Saturday.
I can't wait to play these on Vita.
I played The Lion King to death.
On Vita?
Yeah. These are coming to Vita, right?
No. Why would they come to Vita? Oh, you mean the Switch? It is just Vita.
No, I'm talking about the Vita.
They're one that's covered.
These aren't coming to the Vita?
You just knocked over so many water balls. Hydration is important. It's hot. We have so many water balls. Where's your moisture at?
I'm still about 20%.
Yeah, I'd actually have to admit, it's not as hot as I thought it was going to be.
It's not as bad.
It's nowhere near as bad.
I still hate you for making us do this in the heat, but...
Listen, it was either this or I have to drive over here twice, and I'm selfish, so
that's
it was
fine.
this.
It's fine with me. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, I guess it's unacceptable.
Thanks, guys. Good friends. Yeah, so this is also going to cost $30, like the Mega Man collection. It's probably why they jam so much in here, because they have to justify $30. Right? No, physical too. How do you think they say Loin King?
No, that's like there's a digital option. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everything's on the eShop.
Because for some reason, I don't know where I read, but I thought something was implied that it was just cartridge only, which kind of...
I doubt that.
Yeah, which it's surprising. I'm like, I hope that's not the case, because that doesn't...
I haven't heard anything like that.
There is weird,
It was announced at GameStop Expo, so it's
only
going to focus
every
on...
game is available digitally, right, for the most part. But then I was looking for... There was a Godzilla game that came out on PS4 that was also on PS3 in Japan. Mm-hmm. It's like a historically... supposed to be a really terrible game, but I wanted it anyway. And it's not available digitally, which is really weird. And if I want to get the physical, it's like over $100. So.
Well, that's a different era because it's PS3 where stuff...
No. There's a PS4 version.
Oh.
But that one is like ridiculously expensive
I
just
know.
because of how rare it is. Because you can't get it digitally, but the game sucks. So
The only games I know of that aren't available digitally on the eShop are the Labo kits because you need the cardboard. You have to get a starter kit to get the cartridge.
we have plenty of cardboard around here.
But not in the right serrated shapes
Well, I could
or
make them.
colors. Well, that's
Got
a different
X-Acto
story.
knives.
That's a different story. But anyway, the thing I was gonna say is like, I'm into this Disney collection concept. I'm into the Mega Man concept. I think Kevin, you made a point at the very top of the show that like Virtual Console as a brand is dead, but it kind of still lives on.
Yeah, it still lives on.
Yeah, through
Tripping
this.
us.
This is so much better than Virtual Console. Like, I know someone out there like, oh, how
The Switch
dare
is
you,
literally
but
a virtual console.
The Switch is a virtual console. It has so many old ports from so many different systems. You have to
I
follow
actually want to play
Nintendo's-
Turok 2 just because I remember liking that game, but I don't really remember playing it.
And you can on Switch.
Yeah.
And you can play pretty soon Doom 64. It got rated for all platforms in Australia the other day, so that rumor's coming true. But yeah, it's just like, it's cool that we're at a point where we don't have to follow Nintendo's drip feed of like 2 games a week, and they're only on select platforms. It's just any company can be like,
It's
we're going to
funny,
give you a
'cause every
game.
time I find out that, like, oh, what are the new games on the on the Nintendo NES Virtual Console, like, it still like irks me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when there's just like 2 games, it's like, oh, one of them is like a special save
No,
file for
so,
this one.
to be fair, it's 3 games because you get 2 new games and a special save file of an old game.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus.
Don't shortchange them. They're one
It's like-
game that you've never heard of. This month we're at 2 I've
Honestly,
never
like
even
if they
heard of.
removed it just because of how slow it's going, like I would feel like that's like a plus at this point.
That makes 0 sense.
I know, but that's just how I feel. That's just how I feel.
But okay, but no, but it is cool that like Virtual Console lets you actually get your fix correctly, or not Virtual Console, this pseudo Virtual Console of all these games, and they all are like up-res and they come with extra features, and they all seem to have a rewind built in these days. So like it's good stuff. Like, good job, game industry. This is much better than the Virtual Console and cheaper. You're paying less per game. So there's that. But retro gaming in general actually just kind of feels like it's having kind of a moment right now. Like, obviously, I think to the point we were saying before about so many indie games being like 2D artsy platforms, like the pixel aesthetic,
indie
that
games
old
sometimes,
look.
whether they want to or not,
Yes.
they kind of have to adapt a retro look because that's
It's
just what's
cheaper.
affordable.
Yeah, exactly. But because of that, like this whole like, I feel like that's a big reason why so many indie games are now so, or not indie, sorry, so many retro games are now so popular. Like things like Mario and Sonic doing that retro mode, which is kind of cool.
It looks awesome.
I have one complaint.
Sure.
They should have made
Here
Mario.
comes Jason being Jason.
No, this is real. Well, first of all, for those who don't know what we're talking about really fast, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Dream Course mode in this one is going to be all retro characters in 2D. Or retro sprites in 2D. It's not going to be, like, fantastical. It's just going to be retro. So you're going to be doing, like, side-scrolling track and field, side-scrolling diving, that sort of thing. Here's what bothers me. Sonic started his career as a 16-bit dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he is 16-bit in the Dream Courses. Mario started his career as an 8-bit dude, but did live through a 16-bit era, Mario World. So instead of matching up their looks, they have Sonic being 16-bit and
they're
Mario
clearly
being
doing what they started their
8-bit.
career as.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
You literally
guess.
just like answered your
No,
own
I
question.
know why, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like they should have just done, if they're going to do a
I don't
retro
know.
look,
When I think Sprite Mario, I always think 8-bit Mario. This is cause
Yeah.
That's just as close I come. Well, maybe because Nintendo uses it for everything. But
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's pretty
For
much-
all,
I
for
do
all we
find
know,
it-
that was a Nintendo mandated thing.
It could have been.
Of, hey, just
I'm sure they,
Just-
yeah,
it could've been.
that's
I
something they
just
obviously
want-
tested. Like, I mean, there is a 16-bit. I mean, Mario World had a Peach in it.
Yeah, it
so-
had all of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
It had a weird-looking Bowser.
It
but,
did.
yeah.
I will say, 8-bit...
Which Nintendo like didn't even bother putting into Mario Maker. They just like redid them for the Super Nintendo
Mm-hmm.
for Mario World skins. So, yeah.
I will say,
How's that going, by the way?
it'll be done by the end of September.
Have you started?
I'll be done by the end of September, which means I have not. But the what was I gonna say? I do like, as silly as it is. So in the diving mini game, they showed Peach diving. First of all, I didn't really understand how that works. So you dive off as one character, then they transform into the other halfway down. Like it started as Tails and it became, or it started as Sonic and it became Tails halfway down.
Are you sure they weren't? That isn't just editing.
yeah.
Maybe,
That's probably just a true.
but only one
That's
side
true.
of them changed. So Peach stayed Peach, but then Tails switched in.
No.
I don't know, but either way, what I liked about Peach in that scene is they took her like stationary standing sprite and just turned it upside down and had her fall upside down. Like
I mean,
she doesn't have
isn't
her arm
that
out.
what really happens when you dive? Like it's just you standing up, but you're upside down.
No, you put your you put your arms over your head usually.
Well, I doubt that they were going to create new assets.
I know,
for us,
no, but I
so-
just love how it's just her upside
Oh, yeah,
down.
yeah.
No, it's great. It's
I'm
so
sure
great.
someone dove, they could not put their hands up.
Yeah, and then you crack your neck when
Yeah,
you hit
just
the water.
just plank, just
Yeah,
plank down,
plank
just
your way down, and then crack your neck. I mean, Peach will show up in a neck brace in the next game, I guess, but so be it. But yeah, so that was kind of a cool thing, and that's. Are you getting? I hope you're getting Mario and Sonic. You're a party Switch.
I plead the fifth.
I think he's getting it.
Yeah, I'm obviously getting it.
Yes,
I already said it in the last episode that I was getting it. Because
You did?
It's a fun, like, I even said that I was getting it, and I was excited about it on the E3 episode.
I remember that, actually, yeah.
Because it's a nice competitive
Which, for
thing.
anyone who wants to listen back to that one, is episode 205? 205, maybe. Anyway, that's the news. So we can just jump to what we're playing. It was, a lot of indie stuff. We didn't really touch on mobile, but I guess it'll come up under Pokemon Masters. But let's start not with me, because I've been talking for a while.
What?
Angel, how's Dragon Quest? It's not even out yet. You've been playing a demo for 5.5 hours. That's a long demo.
Yeah, it made me stop playing because it said, this is where your adventure comes to an end. If you want to continue, buy the game.
You mean you finished the demo?
Yeah.
Did it crash on you at all?
No.
So apparently there's some switches that they kick into the overclock mode that Nintendo rolled out, and then it would just crash, like hard crash. And Square Enix for like a week and a half could not figure out why, and I think they might have just patched it like yesterday.
No, never experienced that issue.
That's good.
Hold on, they patched a demo?
I believe so, or they said they were going to patch it.
Oh boy.
Well, it's because it's it's a 5.5 hour 5.5 hour demo.
More if you try to do side quests.
More if you try and do side quests.
Yeah.
In case you didn't hear him from a foot away. Anyway, so how is it?
Am I gonna parrot me the whole time?
Am I? No.
I don't know. I don't even know why I honestly decided to start playing it because I never really had any interest in the Dragon Quest series. Not that it looked bad to me, just you pick your RPGs, you're just like, alright, I'm gonna play Smash Brothers, whatever. And I don't know, I ended up really liking it. I like the art style. I mean, it's just the Akira Toriyama art style. Yeah, the Dragon Ball dude. And I don't know what it is about the renders in this game, but I just love the way everything is rendered. It has this cell shadish, but not really cell shadish, but everything is hair has hair texture, everything looks fuzzy and furry where it's supposed to, but it's still very cartoony. So I don't know, it just has a very appealing art style to me. So I don't know, I just love seeing anything animated in that game. And everything's just very nice and cartoony. Everything is both threatening and not threatening looking. When I fight some of the bosses, they look obviously these monstrous things, but they also have a very, very toony look to them, which I guess I just really like. I know you could play this game. You could choose whether to play it in either a 16-bit look or a, I guess, modern camera.
Again,
CG
retro
look.
is in what I said. Anyway, yeah.
But since the demo doesn't let you switch between them, I don't know if the final game lets you switch between them. It's implied that you can. But
wait, you only get in the demo at least. You only pick one at the start and ride it out for 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can play the 2D version of the demo.
Yeah, the demo
So
you
you're
can.
telling me you could have played for 11 hours if you did both
I'm not gonna
styles, but you didn't want to read.
Based on some of the cutscenes and stuff that I saw, I'm this would not be half as exciting as it would be in 16-bit, obviously. But I don't know, the story I felt definitely drew me in at some point, and now I just really want to know what happens. So more than anything, I'm getting it for that.
So what is the premise of this one?
I don't know. I mean, it's your typical Chosen One kind of RPG. You have
the hero. Yeah, you're
the hero.
Oh, the luminary.
Yeah, the luminary. The game starts with he's a baby, and I guess there's this creepy little monster that comes into town, and I guess because he was the luminary, I guess the monster decided, all right, he was just born, we're gonna try to kill him. So his castle, I guess he was born into royalty, or that town got wrecked by monsters, and the mother, a daughter, and the baby were trying to escape, and she sacrificed herself to let the baby survive, and he's pretty much whisked down a river and gets raised by this, a very
He's
humble...
Moses?
Basically.
He gets found in a river?
Yeah, and then when he becomes of age, they go through a trial, and I guess
Does it involve locusts and plagues?
No.
So he's not Moses, okay.
And, he becomes of age, and he goes through a trial, and I guess he discovers his luminary powers, and he's like, oh, I knew this time would come, and they send him into town because the king should know more. But then it turns out that the king, I guess, believes him to be, a sign of, the impending doom, so he ends up locking him up and destroying the village he grew up in. So now you're trying to, get answers, and adventure ensues. You meet people along the way, and I don't know, it's been fun. I really like the pacing of the story. It hasn't, in the 5 hours, it never really dragged. It just kind of kept going, kept building up, more twists and turns, and I don't know, it's funny, I haven't even mentioned the combat, because I kind of decided not to really bother with it.
So there's no random encounters?
No, I mean, yeah, there
I
are.
guess there never are in Dragon Quest. Huh?
Yeah, like you see the enemies on the field, you run into them. I mean, I guess it's random whether you're gonna fight like one enemy or 3 enemies or 4 enemies or whatever. But I'm guessing this has always been the case in the Dragon Quest games. But you can either play it like a normal, like pick your move, take turns going, or like most RPGs, like I guess Tales does it. You do this where you could set them to auto fight, and you could set like, oh, okay, I want you to focus on healing, I want you to focus on this, and they just kind of and the game just plays itself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Persona does that as well.
Oh, that?
Yeah, you can set your party members to
Pokemon Masters does it as well, but we'll get there.
For Pokemon, like I mean that one's more about like predicting what your opponent's gonna do, so you kind of definitely can't do that.
Is Dragon Quest more reactionary?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, like, I tested both out. Like, I played the game throughout, and for the most part, everything I would do, the computer just does anyway. Like, when I let the game autoplay, so I was like, all right, it's actually doing everything I would do. The only thing it always does is the moment it has any chance to activate its Ultra move, there's a system where if you take enough hits or you do enough attacks, your character gets pepped, and if 2 characters get pepped, they could do like a combined Ultra attack. And they seem to want to activate that as soon as they possibly can. And I guess a normal person would probably save that for, a specific enemy or a specific turn. But for the most part, like, it's been working out great. The only thing I have to make sure is just to grind out their levels, and which the auto playing or the auto attacking really, like, that's where you get the most benefit from, like, when you're grinding.
Right.
Like, it's actually really nice. Like, if I'm just in a big open field and I see a bunch of enemies that I know I want to kill, I could literally just, like, have a nice book with me, which I've actually was doing. Like, I was reading through my game animation book while just like running into enemies, let them do their thing, run to another enemy, and just reading. So that was really nice. Which I'm guessing is kind of how, maybe why in Japan, auto AFK games are really popular, where you're not really paying attention to the game, you're just tapping away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I played the game. I ended up liking the game a lot like that. Liking the game, playing through the game like that, just customizing their skill trees and just letting the fights play themselves out. Kind of like, all right, is the skills I set and the path I chose and the strategy I picked the right one, and yeah, well, it's really fun. So I could definitely see myself picking it up. Maybe not day 1, maybe like
down the line.
I was for some reason expecting, but maybe not like day 7.
No, like
day 8.
Like definitely within this year. Like I'm just trying to space out my purchases. You know? Just trying to be fiscally responsible with games and stuff, because that one's a $60 game. But
costs a definitive edition.
Yeah, but definitely excited about this game.
Can you say off the top of your head?
Didn't think I would be, but
can you say off the top of your head the game's full name? It's a long name.
Dragon Quest 11 as I don't know, Emissary of Darkness.
Nope.
I don't know.
Wait, Emissary of Darkness.
I'm just making it up as I go.
Subspace Emissary? No, it's Dragon Quest. I had to look it up too. Dragon Quest 11.
Hold on.
Oh, you want to try? Try.
Echoes of an Elusive Age.
Yes, that's it.
Not quite.
S Definitive Edition.
You put the S in the wrong place, but right idea. It's Dragon Quest 11 S : Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. You would think there'd be a dash between Age and Definitive. There is not. It's all one run-on. Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition. So yeah, but you got it, essentially.
Woo!
And you, the guy who put 5.5 hours into it, did not.
I just knew it was called Dragon Quest 11. Didn't need to know more than that. That was pretty much it.
These games do a lot of... It's not... I was, for some reason, thinking onomatopoeia. No, they do... what's
alliteration?
It called? They do a lot of alliteration. With
Echoes of an Elusive.
Yeah.
Well, Age is an A, but close enough.
There, one of them on the DS or 3DS was called like the Sentinels of the Skies.
Oh yeah. I mean,
alliteration.
Let's be honest; it's better than the wacky names that Kingdom Hearts does. Give me a look.
Hold me back.
Okay.
You're saying that 358 over 2 days isn't a great title?
He said wacky, not bad.
I did say wacky. Wacky could be a positive.
I mean, I liked Tales of blah blah. Tales of blah blah. Doesn't tell me much. Unless they
has it
unless
easiest.
they do sequels, then they start getting.
Pokemon's easiest. They just add a word, and then make another word that's like that word, and then they have 2. Gold, silver, sun, moon.
Still Pokemon
black,
Gold
white.
version, Pokemon Black version.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have it easy. They just change out one word between versions. X, Y. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
No, we got it.
Nope, I'm going to keep going. Speaking of Pokemon, actually, I'll jump into
that. Got old after 2.
I know, but I kept going because I don't know when to stop. Speaking of Pokemon, I feel like actually how I felt about Pokemon Masters is very similar to how you felt about Dragon Quest. Like, I was also surprised how much I was enjoying it, because it really felt like going into it, it could go either way. And while some of the games like aspects are kind of meh, overall, I actually like it a lot more than I thought I would, which is kind of surprising. So, like, the central part of the game is the changed up battle system.
Are you going to keep playing it post-podcast?
Actually, probably. At least a little.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't just immediately stop when the podcast hits. I usually taper off. I taper. But just to explain what is appealing about this one, the battle system is obviously the main part of the game, and it's changed up from normal turn-based Pokemon. So it's not a trainer and their team of Pokemon versus another trainer and their team of Pokemon in turn-based battles. It's real-time 3-on-3 trainers, each with their one Pokemon battles. Although that's actually a misnomer in of itself, because it says it's a 3-on-3 battle. It's you and 2 trainers versus 3 trainers. But then
like in black and
the
white
enemy
3-on-3 battles?
Except these are real-time.
Oh.
But the
enemies...
enemies...
They have tri-battles and rotation battles, which are both...
So rotations are sort of back. So if you defeat the... I don't know if they're rotation the same way, but if you defeat some of the 3, they'll bring in they'll bring in reinforcements. It's like waves sometimes.
And in the tries, when the rotation, it was just 1v1, but all 3 are out at the same time, but only 1 are ever battling at the same time, and then those...
Oh, no, they're all happening at once.
Oh, okay.
It's all real time. So basically how it works is... actually, it's kind of more one-on-one with real Pokemon than I'm laying onto, because it still has, like, multiple move sets for the Pokemon. You can still use items. You can still unlock new moves through TMs. There's still, like, the type tree of who's strong against who and who's weak against who. The difference is it's all very, like, casual oriented. It's more streamlined for mobile play is probably the best way to put it. So instead of each attack having its own point system, they're all pulling from a central energy bar that refills as the battle continues. And some attacks will use 1 preset chunk, other attacks will use 2 preset chunks, and so on. And where the strategy comes in is deciding which attack to use when and on which opponent, and, you know, to kind of manage that energy bar and make sure you're being efficient while taking care of the opponents, especially because you can actually see the weaknesses and strengths right there on the screen as you're fighting. They're directly above the Pokemon. So it's not even about, like, oh, do I know my Pokemon is that weak against this one? It's like, yeah, that one's weak against this one. You should use this one, but you need to manage when to use this one and how to use this one. And you can also target different Pokemon in the 3 on the stage. So you can tap and choose between them, and it's all kind of real time. And it's also... there's another component, so you're dealing with the attacks where you have the energy bar, but then if you're waiting for the energy bar, you can still use items, you can still use stat-altering moves that don't require energy, all that's kind of ongoing. So there's very rarely a lull where you're sitting there just waiting for the bar to refill.
Really?
If it's refilling,
whoa.
I mean, it's not that exciting. I'm just saying it's not like you, like, do a bunch and then you stop and do nothing, then you do a bunch. You can, like, you know, do a defense boost or something while you wait the 2 seconds and that comes back. Ultimately, really what it boils down to is just speedy decisions. With normal Pokemon, you obviously can take your time. You can weigh the effects of an attack. Here, every second counts. So to that end, like I was saying, the game tells you a lot on screen about the opponent during and before the attack. You have like I said, the types above the Pokemon as you're battling. But even right before the battle begins, the game's saying up front, okay, the guys you're about to battle have these types of Pokemon. Here's your team members that you have in your party right now that are good against that. We will highlight them for you. Is someone not highlighted? You should probably swap them for someone else. Go into your menu of who to swap. They highlight who the good ones are. So it's really not about the type thing's just to tie it back into Pokemon. Ultimately, it's just about the speediness in your fast reflexes. And for some, I would guess like you, Angel, and maybe I don't really know your Pokemon background, Kevin. So I don't know how you'd feel about this, but it's not Pokemon in the sense of there's not much depth, because it is about timing and speed.
That's more my speed. I never got into EV training or any
I didn't too much either.
Stats.
Yeah, so I think like you might actually have some fun with this then. Like it is pretty fun. It can get challenging because, you know, there's still a leveling up system. You still have stronger opponents and weaker opponents. You still need to grind a little, use items, but it is pretty fun and pretty like quick and casual, which is what's nice. The window dressing of the whole battle system is that the player, you, are a trainer who's been invited to an island to compete with other trainers from regions around the Pokemon world. And on the island, they do things differently. You don't just have a Pokemon team. You have yourself and one Pokemon, and you form what's called a sync pair. And then the team, you and your Pokemon, team up with other trainers to form these groups of 3 and go try and win the league and stop these evil people who are trying to steal Pokemon but aren't called Team Rocket. They're called Team Break because I don't know why. And then as you play, you gotta learn the backstories of all these different trainers and masters from all the different games like Brock and Cynthia and what have you. And the way it's all presented is kind of cool. It's the main story. It's split into sub-chapters, which some of them are kind of dumb. So they can vary from actually battling to just sub-chapters where they just have 3 lines of dialogue that set up the battle. And then when that chapter ends, you get some free items or gems to spend on items. And they're like, cool, okay, that was 10 seconds. And then you go do the battle in a second chapter. So they give you a lot of items as you go. But There's also what's kind of cool about it is it's all presented in sort of a first-person dungeon crawlers fashion. So you are the trainer. You're seeing it through their eyes. And as you talk to people, they're talking directly to you. They walk over you. You move screen to screen, kind of automatic, but you still move screen to screen to see stuff. And then occasionally they do what they call field work, where it actually becomes like a point and click. So you're still locked to your screen that you're in before you move to the next screen, but you can look around, you can tap people and talk to them, tap items and take them. It's like a very loose, like clue finding in Phoenix Wright kind of vibe. And then you just tap to go to the next screen, and they do that. And it's basically like dungeon crawlers, except when an enemy approaches, you're not in a battle on the spot. You jump into the Pokemon battle with your team of trainers. So that I didn't expect. I didn't think they'd do like the sort of kind of dungeon crawler thing, but it works. And then there's also a whole separate thing called sync pair stories, where you go through like a mini story of sorts with each specific Pokemon master you meet, so Brock and all them. And these can vary from being just literally dialogue, that thing just gives you an item, to actually battles or all sorts of other stuff. But the cool thing is no matter what you do, you're given a bunch of items at the end, and when you hit a certain level, you can actually start evolving the Pokemon in your sync pairs and start growing those teams of individual trainer and Pokemon, and not just like keep piling onto your collection of trainers, but actually affect each Pokemon within each trainer's little sync pair. So that's kind of nice. Admittedly, the sync pair story, some of the dialogue, it's not great. Like, even by Pokemon standards, it feels a bit dry or kind of overly kiddie, which...
Tarantino didn't write this.
Tarantino did not write this.
Gotcha.
It's not a 3-hour-long movie about people getting murdered in the Hollywood Hills. But no, it's like, even the dialogue trees, actually, is a good example. So, in dialogue trees in games, it's like, oh, you choose 2 options, and usually they mean different things. The dialogue is like, hey, do you want to help me win this battle? Sure, or yes. It's like, oh, okay. Or like, I can, or I will. It's like, great, thanks game. But between all that kind of blehness, which is probably the weakest part of the game, they actually had some clever little fan service, nice little nods to longtime fans. There's, not only are the masters from all the old games back, so are the generic trainers. So you have, like, the bug-catching guy, or you have, like, Youngster Joey, or you have, like, the Lass. And what's kind of funny is they rotate in and out of the main screen, of the main, like, lobby you enter the game in, and they have conversations among themselves you can eavesdrop on. And some of them are kind of just whatever, but there are a couple clever ones. Like, there's one where one kid was just, like, kind of critiquing the Lass for always wearing that exact same dress that she's worn for, like, 20-plus years in Pokemon. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of...
That's rude, but...
It's a little rude of the kid, but, like, it's kind of a neat nod to the longtime fans that are like, oh, yeah, they never change who these look like. And then, like, even when you go into battles and you have, like, grunts fighting alongside trainers as you go through story mode, all the grunts have the exact same lines of dialogue they use. So it's like, if you have 3 of the same grunt, it'll just be 3 identical things said almost in unison, but not quite, which I feel like that last comment's also kind of making fun of. But, yeah, for the most part, it's pretty good. Like, I'm actually surprised at how well done it is. The last component of it that we have to talk about, of course, though, is monetization. And how that works.
Here we go.
So,
here comes the sales corner.
No. I'm talking about how you pay the game to play.
Sales.
Sure. Interestingly, from what I can tell so far, none of the in-game items you unlock, like the stat boosters, the leveling up items, any of that, none of that requires spending money. You get them all through free gems you get in the game. And there's a ton you get from every task I rattled off. The sync stories, the story mode, all of it. You just keep getting items. Almost too many. But what's interesting is you don't get to use any of your gems you collect towards getting new sync pairs. The only way to get new trainer and Pokemon combos is either through the story, and they come up naturally as you go, or you have to pay real money with a separate paid gem currency to enter a gacha for a chance at getting a new sync pair. There is no way to use your free earnings towards the gacha. The only way to get characters is through the story, unless you want to pay real money.
So when you do the story, are these masters randomly rolled?
No, they are part.
So they're fixed.
I think they're fixed as you come in. Which, on the one hand, like, that's like a normal game. It's not horrible. I don't know. I actually don't know if they're fully randomly rolled, to be honest. The story is written with them by name, so I'm not sure if they swap the names out or not. Like, you're just like, oh, my friend Barry, and then there's like a whole thing with cutscenes with him, and the cutscenes are really nicely rendered and stuff. So I imagine these are pre-set. They are not randomly rolled. But what kind of sucks is if you do the sync pair summoning or roll or pull or whatever you want to call it, it is random. But you can only do it with real money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird, because like sync pairs, they're all rated 3 to 5 stars, just like Dragalia does it, just like Fire Emblem does it, like how they all do it. And you can summon a new one using your real paid gems. If you get someone you already have, you're given extra stats for that existing one. If you get someone new, great. The thing is, the only way to get a 5-star one, from my understanding, is to pay. And that's where it gets a little weird. Like, I'm torn on this, because on, like, the one hand, I appreciate that you can do so much for free. And I appreciate that if you don't want to spend real money for sync pairs, the game seems to give you plenty of sync pairs as you go. You know, and that's fine. Like, you can level those guys up and grind them out and go forward with them, and it's no big deal. But with that said, I feel like requiring a new sync pair summon to be paid for with actual money sort of makes the gacha mechanic just that much worse. Because, like, if I'm putting down real money, like, if I'm telling them I will only put down real money, if they're saying you will only do that, I'm like, okay, I will only do that. I kind of feel like, why not just guarantee me someone at that point?
Yeah, that's a little sleazy.
Yeah, and like, not only you're not guaranteed which sync pair you get, but like I was saying, you're not even guaranteed if one you don't already have, which makes it a little extra sleazy. So I don't know. It seems kind of just sleazy, scammy, however I word it. The flip side of that, of course, is if they were to offer it for free through free gems, you know, then we're in the triple gacha systems of games like Dragalia and Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing and all that. It's kind of like, well, which way does it go? Like, I guess you sort of have to pick your poison. I would lean more towards, I think, the triple gachas, where you can use free in-game currencies that you earned. But then, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of curious to see what happens with, like, Mario Kart Tour when it comes out. And what they do with monetization. Because, as you may remember from one of our July episodes, at least Angel and I talked about it, the gacha systems in the beta were pretty bad. Characters, carts, items, like, all of it.
Yeah.
And there's recently this Wall Street Journal piece that came out, and they were saying that investors should expect the Pokemon Company to be the heavy-handed one when it comes to monetization, not Nintendo. According to them, Nintendo actually wants to play it safe, and what's unclear is what play it safe means. Like, do triple gachas fall under play it safe because they don't require real money? Is Pokemon Company heavy-handed because they say we have one system but you do need to pay? Like, I don't really know how to rank those, or, like, you know, what monetization scheme is Nintendo now falling back on, or are they just saying Pokemon's going to be more aggressive because it's a mandatory payment should you wish to do this feature? It's weird. I'm hoping that it's Nintendo scaling back on monetization schemes, because I don't know if you guys saw the Mario Kart Tour stuff that was announced the other day along with the September 25th release date. They missed summer by 2 days, but they're a little summer target. But it sounds kind of cool. Like, they're going to have tracks based on real-world events that cycle in every 2 weeks. Or not real-world events, real-world cities that cycle in every 2 weeks. They're going to have costumes when you're racing on those real-world city tracks that match. So, like, Mario's going to be in a zoot suit when driving through New York City, or, like, a kimono when driving in Japan. Like, it's cool. And then there's going to be a new frenzy mode where you basically get these unlimited items in a race for a set amount of time, which factors into the whole point system it uses. There's the challenge mode for Mario Kart DS is back. Diddy Kong's back as a playable character for the first time since, I think, the Wii Mario Kart, maybe. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff they're doing with it. But is it going to be saddled, you know, is it going to be dragged down by Nintendo's triple gachas or not? So to be fair, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But in the case of Pokemon Masters, the paid-for sync pairs haven't really caused a problem for me yet. I just haven't done them. I'm seeing how far I can go without the need to buy one. So far, so good. I'm still making my way through the story, though, so that could change. But as of right now, assuming it keeps up, I'm actually finding Masters to be one of the better mobile outings that Pokemon Company has done. It's more of like a kindred spirit to a real Pokemon experience than I thought it would be. And the fact that it's a little more casual makes it fun in kind of a different way, and I'm enjoying it. So if you want a free game that genuinely is free up until you maybe need to buy a sync pair, it's actually pretty good. And we'll see what happens with Mario Kart. But I'm not holding my breath. But to be fair, I probably shouldn't judge it prematurely either. Anyway, so yeah, that's Pokemon. Now, Kevin, you've been finding a different type of monster entirely. The Nazis.
Yes, the Nazis.
Yeah.
The Third Reich.
Exactly.
Okay.
Wolfenstein Youngblood. Bethesda was kind enough to actually give us a copy to review. So
yeah, full disclosure,
yep.
The code was provided by Bethesda.
Yeah,
how did you...
They emailed me. I don't know.
Just out of the blue?
I think I'm on their E3. I think they emailed it to the E3 press list, and I was on that.
Oh, interesting.
I really don't know, but thanks, Bethesda. We do appreciate it, and we'd love to play more of your games like Doom Eternal. Hint, hint. No, seriously, it's very much appreciated. Anyway,
yeah, so... Thank you, Bethesda. So, I've been playing Wolfenstein Youngblood, developed by Machine Games, who has developed the last entries in this, like, rebooted series, which I believe is Wolfenstein The New Order, then, like, a little spin-off called Wolfenstein The New Blood. and then Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. That's where this game gets its namesake from. Almost like we had the Old Blood, and now we got the
yeah.
Youngblood.
I was wondering where the Youngblood name came from.
Yeah. So, developed by Machine Games and co-developed by Arkane Studios, who is known for the Dishonored series. And I don't believe those games have made it onto Switch.
They have not, surprisingly.
No. Yeah. And it was ported by Panic Button, who developed the Wolfenstein 2 port on the Switch.
And Doom.
And, yeah, Doom and the upcoming Doom Eternal port.
And Rocket League, which has no bearing on this conversation, but I just thought to throw that in.
Yeah, they're...
Anymore?
Panic Button is
Anymore?
Yes,
they are
they're a powerhouse
hot,
of ports.
Yeah.
They are doing, what is it? Dungeons and Dragons and not Dungeons and Dragons. They announced the game in the indie world presentation. Dungeons Defenders. They're doing that as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. As you were.
As a port, or is that their game?
It's a port. Or actually, I don't know.
I think Dungeons Defenders is already a
this is a new one though. That's console exclusive to Switch at first.
Oh.
For a timed period, limited time period.
Interesting.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first entry in this reboot series that is fully co-op, which a lot of people had issues with because Wolfenstein is known to be just a very single player, a very very story focused series, and so this was met with.
Well, I mean, as you put it in a previous episode, the first time Resident Evil went to pure co-op for 5, that only gave us the best game ever, he said.
Maybe not the best game. Definitely my top 3 favorite game of all time. But this game, aside from it being co-op game, it's also a live service game.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so I'll get that. I'll get into that in a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
They gassed it up?
Yeah, so...
Huh.
So, you play as one of the twin daughters of BJ Blasphemous, who was the protagonist of the previous 2 games. And no... and it's important to note that this takes place 20 years after Wolfenstein 2, but this is not considered Wolfenstein 3. So a lot of people had that misconception that, is this just the next entry? No, this is more of a spin-off side title.
Is it because it's the same engine, but they usually try and change up the engine for each new main one?
No, not at all.
Okay.
This was just them trying to do something different in between titles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it takes place 20 years after. BJ Blasphemous has gone missing in Paris, and you playing as one of his twin daughters, Sophie and Jess. You guys head over to Paris, you meet up with the resistance leader, and you are just going to help them try to find your dad. No, they are trying to help you trying to find your dad, BJ.
A dad is being found.
A dad is being found, yeah. It's not a linear point A to point B shooter like the last ones. Most of the gameplay takes place in these small little zones, sort of like Destiny, and for the Nintendo audience, more similar to like Mario Odyssey.
Where it's just like you directly stare at me or for the Nintendo crowd.
Well, yeah, but
no, I appreciate the comparison.
Yeah, but like, you can fast travel between these.
Yeah.
Between these little places.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to sort of like a Destiny or a Borderlands, enemies have health bars, which was another big issue that people had with the game. It's like, no, we just want to shoot them Nazis, you know? We don't need little numbers indicating how much health you're taking away from them. That kind of stuff. This game has... public reception on this game has been very mixed. Mm-hmm. Which... Let me just start it up. I am really enjoying this game. I do have a lot of issues with it, but this is my type of game where I can just start it up, listen to a podcast, and just mindlessly shoot Nazis. This is my jam. I like the relationship between the 2 sisters. They're like best friends. There's no animosity between them. There's some ribbing, but it's all in good fun. It's never mean-spirited, this game.
That's cool. It's nice to see that kind of relationship portrayed every once in a while instead of a strange sibling.
Instead of just a rivalry. Yeah, so I really like that. Paris is pretty cool. Some of the zones definitely look different from others. So one zone is very colorful, very bright, but then there's another area of Paris that's very slummy looking. The side missions are sort of integrated into the main story. So basically the way that it is there are these 3 facilities called Brothers that you have to infiltrate. And to infiltrate that, you got to go through and do side missions for some of these resistance members, and they'll be like, "Oh, you can get in through like the sewer, or we can just cut a hole in like one of these brothers' walls and get in there." Mm-hmm. So it's very integrated. The resistance is located in the Paris catacombs, which is really cool. Which is just like a really smart, really creative idea of like where to of where they set up shop, you know?
Right.
So when I started playing the game, I tried to test it out to see how long it would run on handheld, and I played for about 45 minutes, and I went from 100% to 70%. So if you're gonna exclusively play this in handheld mode, you'll probably get about 2 hours to maybe 2.5 hours.
Or go buy one of the new enhanced Switches. Or the regular.
Yeah.
And you can double that time.
Yeah. Or you cannot, because don't even bother playing this game in handheld mode is my recommendation.
Is it that low res?
It's rough. Not only that, but the controls are rough too. I had to put aim assist, and I've never put aim assist in my games. Just because, like, some of the enemies in these areas, you couldn't even fully see. It was just...
were they just not rendering? Where were they?
No, they were rendered, but they would also blend in with like backgrounds.
Oh, and then isn't there like a motion blur that probably didn't?
We'll get to that in a second. So I tried that handheld mode, and it was honestly putting me off on the game. And the beginning of it's very difficult for some reason. I'm playing on normal. It's that first 2 hours is
that when you're like in the Nazi ship or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the E3 demo, and that was hard.
Yeah, in that ship. Because, so enemies also have levels right next to them, and it's like, if you're level 2, you're probably going to be able to take on this level 3. In that area, there's a enemy that has a skull right next to his health bar, which means you're pretty much not going to be able to take this guy out. So you pretty much just have to run away from him. But aside from that, the first 2 hours was rough. It doesn't help that your AI companion doesn't have the best AI, but I can kind of almost put this negative to the side just because this game is supposed to be meant to be played with somebody else.
Right.
Aside from that, it's a little buggy. There's been some times where my menus were just gone. Like I would press start or the plus, whatever you want to call it on the Switch, and my menu would just not be there.
Did it like show the overlay and then just no UI on top of it, or?
No, there's just no text. It was just completely gone. I've been stuck in like some areas where I will literally just be walking down the street of Paris, and then my character's just stuck there, and just look around me. There's no object that I could have gotten caught on.
Interesting.
So it's a little buggy. You also can't pause the game in single player.
Is that a side effect of it being co-op first in design?
It's a side effect of it being a live game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, explain that a bit.
Okay, so live games, similar to Destiny, you cannot pause that game. Obviously, because it's a shared world experience. But this is just co-op. There's no PvP. It's strictly PvE. So you can't pause the game. So if you want to like upgrade a gun, you have to hope that it's in an area that's secluded where a Nazi isn't about to come and just shoot you down. Not only that, but there is a sort of bounty board that you can go into the Paris catacombs, and there will be a daily mission, a weekly mission, and a monthly mission.
I see how this is a game of service or a live game.
Yeah, just so that you can level up.
Yeah.
As far as
are those missions fun? Are they good? Are they really like
the daily weekends?
Yeah,
I didn't try them.
Oh, I was gonna say because they could just be like Pokemon Masters has that too, to get granted very different game, to get extra items. And it can be as simple as play 3 levels, or it could be as cool as, or like I imagine for Wolfenstein, it'd be like kill X number of Nazis or something. But
yeah, I'm not too sure how it is. Oh yeah, actually it was like that.
Oh, okay.
Where one mission was like there are these like robot Nazis.
Yeah.
That you have to. The mission was you melee them, and when you melee them, you like break off their arms, and it was basically like in a week do this to 20 of the Nazi robots.
Gotcha. Okay, so like achievements essentially.
Yeah, and that's to help you level up, but from enemies scale to you. So I do not understand why enemies have levels.
Oh, that's interesting.
So in the very first area, once you get to it, you're about level 6 or 5, and enemies are around there.
Yeah.
Maybe 7, maybe 8. But now I'm about level 19. I've played for about maybe 8 hours. If I go to that same area, the enemies are also level 19. So I don't understand why they've been given levels. Not too sure. Docked, it does play much better. I was playing with a Pro controller. That's a little bit cleaner. But visually, that motion blur that's on the game is insane, and you can't turn it off.
It's probably because it's masking some of the performance downgrades they had to do.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it runs fine. At the end of the day, if you're into sort of a Destiny-type game and Wolfenstein at the same time, this is a okay hybrid of it. If this is your only way to play the game, I would probably say rent it before you fully commit to buying it. The deluxe edition does come with a buddy pass, which I believe is $10 more than just the base game. So the base game is $30, the deluxe edition is $40, but you can basically give a friend a pass to play with you. And
they download like a whole copy of it.
Yeah, they download the whole copy.
Only can play when you play, right?
Correct. And once you're done with that pass, I could then give it to somebody else too.
Oh, that's cool. So I guess the pass belongs to the owner of the game, and they can
Correct.
distribute it freely. That's actually really cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a really cool idea. More developers should do that.
The future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Wolfenstein for you. I'm liking it.
Have you
for
played
sure.
like Doom or the other Wolfenstein on Switch?
No, I have not.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be curious how those compare. Give me your buddy pass. I'm curious how they compare. we should like play online once or
We'll see.
twice.
This isn't an option.
I do not know if
you even have a buddy
if
pass,
it came with a buddy pass, but
Yeah.
But we'll check it out for sure.
Yeah. It's cool that there's games like that on Switch to begin with. Like, it's nice that Bethesda actually does that at all. Most companies
because they definitely don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doom, especially with Doom, that was a huge hit on PC. They didn't have to put it on Switch at all.
It did,
but they did
really well on Switch too. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Cool. So I think there's one more game that Angel and I have been playing that is only 89 cents until September 5th on the eShop. It normally retails for $40, and it is a rhythm game. It actually has 3 free DLC packs as well. And it's a rhythm game called Superbeat Xonic. I assume that's how I pronounce it. It's Sonic with or Cross Onic, really. There's no S. But yeah, so it's I mean, Angel, you're the rhythm game guy. What was your kind of takeaway of this 89-cent game?
I mean, it's fun. There's a learning curve. It's kind of weird just like getting used to using your controller to play these specific kinds of rhythm games that you know are designed for like an arcade peripheral machine.
Well, I think this one was made for just a symmetric controller. That's the thing, is the Switch is asymmetric.
Yeah, because I mean, it just feels off.
So
like it feels like it's designed for a specific controller, or like
it's designed for a PlayStation.
This is like something you would find like in an arcade in Japan, that like someone just like playing like doing like all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
but
oh, we definitely saw this in Japan when we went.
I mean, it looks familiar, but
and the whole game plays like a Japanese arcade game. Or any arcade.
I mean, there's like barely any English music to begin with, too.
You do like, a set of 4 songs, set of 6 songs, and when it's over, it's just like, thanks for playing, it boots you back to the menu. So it is definitely an arcade game that's come over.
But essentially, like, I guess because you have a controller, you have to use there are 6 different, I guess, roads that an icon can come across, and it's like Guitar Hero. You have to wait for them to match up with the lane. Well, I guess at the end of the lane that they're coming from. And you're either pressing up, left, or down on the D-pad, or X, A, and
Y,
or Y, B, and A on the buttons on the right side.
Can you not play this with the touchscreen?
You can, but it's not reliable. They are aware of it, and they're pushing out a fix.
Because pretty much you're using those like 6 buttons on top of like both analog sticks, because you might have to flick up or down at some points, or hold up and down at some points.
And not just hold, but kind of curve them.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually kind of fun when you nail it. It feels good.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, I mean, the music is very varied.
Oh, I see.
Barely any of it's in English. I mean, there's a few, like, there's one song that's in Spanish, and there's like one, like, Discount Linkin Park song that was kind of funny.
Yeah, so I was listening to that. Discount Linkin Park's not quite what... It's like power metal. It's like... It felt more like POD.
I didn't click on the song. I like just like from what I heard on a little preview, it sounded like it's like I was telling you, like
yeah. But there's a lot of songs.
Yeah, like
a lot, and there's the DLC for even more.
I mean, it's fun, but like I don't know, I'm sure like if you like decent, I mean this game is very reminiscent of I forgot what the other one's called that came out early on in the Switch's life. That is pretty much the exact same thing.
VOEZ.
Voez or something.
Yeah, that.
Like that one like is also like another game that like that one you were supposed to only use the touchscreen because you could tell was meant for like a piano kind of peripheral or something. But they just like shoved it on the Switch, and just like this game, like that one also has like an almost exclusive like Japanese soundtrack of varied poppy to not poppy to only piano. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fine because to me playing it, I actually think I'm getting the vibe. I enjoyed it more than you did, but I enjoyed the easier ones because
I think a lot of the hard like the thing about this game too is like it'll let you play the song all the way through whether you win or lose.
And that tells you fail.
And then, like, cause there's like a meter on the side that is like your power, and when it runs out, you lose. Yeah. But it won't tell you lose. You just keep playing, and then when you beat the level, it's like, oh, you lost. So that was like what the heck? And then there was this one level that, like, I played it so many times. Like, it's like a pretty annoying song too, but like it's kind of like stuck in my head now because I played it so many times because I want to beat it. And at some point, like, oh, like there's like one part of it where I would keep like missing them, and then I would lose the power meter, and then it's like, oh, and I have to restart it over and over.
Yeah,
I beat it eventually.
You know, you didn't have to do the same song. So when you do the 4 songs or the 6 songs, you can choose different.
No, I know, but I wanted to beat that song.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I eventually did, and I mean, I got satisfaction out of that, but. Yeah, I mean, but it was the first thing to play with the controller. It felt like I needed a peripheral or something.
I think the easier ones are more fun.
The easier ones are too easy.
It comes down... Well, there's like a middle sweet spot, but it comes down to the fact that you have those 6 different control options.
The middle sweet spot's still too easy. Like, it's like...
Sure, but there's the... What I was going to say is there's this... The problem is the asymmetry thing, I think. Because the games... When you don't have to worry about the asymmetry as much, it's fine. But when you have to deal with... and even when it's the face buttons, it's fine because you have the 3. Basically, how it works is the side. You have notes coming out of the middle, and they're shooting to the side.
Yeah, there's 6 lanes, 3 on the right.
There's 6 lanes on each side, but those lanes within them can have some variety. So a lane can be 3 lanes on each side. Thank you, math. So you can have the 3 main lanes are just the buttons, the face buttons, like Angel said, and then you have the control sticks, which use those same lanes but become control sticks, and you have to switch. And the stick will tell you like flick up, flick down, drag it up or down. The problem is if you're playing asymmetric. You have the flick up on the top lane, but you're using the right stick on the bottom of the Joy-Con, and it kind of messes with your brain when you hit a certain point.
Sometimes we're like...
So if it was on PlayStation, it'd be fine, because PlayStation has sticks even. But it's kind of like, it's that like, your hands have to go in different directions to do the exact same task.
And as many times as I did a level where, like, I got used to the controllers, I would still mess that up from time to time whenever you would get... really crazy like combinations where you would have to do like down up down but like on opposite sticks and
there's also the shoulder buttons are mapped too.
Oh yeah.
So touch would resolve a lot of this, but as I was saying before, touch right now is it's not reliable. It works and then it just doesn't recognize.
Yeah, but the way the game designed, touch wouldn't really work that well either.
It does if you kind of like drum your fingers, but it apparently supports touch.
It would work well up until like a certain difficulty, and then it's just unplayable with touch. Like you need.
Yeah, that's true. But I do think like in terms of what the game offers. If you find the sweet spot
for the price right now, you're definitely getting way more than your money's worth for sure.
And not only that,
we got it for free because we just happen to have enough.
Yeah, I use gold coins. But not only that, but like it has a lot of stuff in it. Like there's a lot of music. There's some pretty good presentation. It feels like a flashy arcade game.
It literally is. It is a flashy arcade game. Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like this is something that we ran into in Japan. Like it's. There's no way this isn't already an arcade game.
But there is stuff to do if you like do want to go through it. Like there's a bunch to unlock. You can unlock new DJ icons
like the
for
challenge
yourself,
mode,
different inputs. There's challenge mode every day,
which they call the World Tour mode. Which that's what I found myself playing the most. Yeah, because it's kind of fun.
So they have specific challenges where they pair certain songs and certain groups of songs. You have to go through all of them and win. They get a DJ icon or a new input sound. One kind of funny thing is depending on what input sound you set when you make contact. When you press the button when the note hits and you do it well, you can get all sorts of different noises from like an 808 drum thump to like a dog barking to like a wood block to people screaming, like whatever. It's actually pretty great. And there is like leaderboards so you can see how you do on a given song. However, they don't support friends, which is kind of a weird oversight that maybe they'll fix. But yeah, it's just for the most part, it's good at a certain sweet spot, and then the controls start messing with your mind a little too much. So that's kind of the thing. So I don't know if I would pay $40 for it, but I actually liked it a lot more than
How much does it cost right now?
Right now it's 89 cents till September 5th. I would recommend, if you're okay with getting up to the sweet spot of the weird control asymmetry, checking it out for 89 cents. Like, it's actually fun at that sweet spot.
So $40 is too much.
I think so, only because it's not optimized for its controller, which isn't necessarily a problem.
Okay, so what would be... what would be the most that you'd pay for this game?
I would like 15,
15?
maybe.
10 for me, probably.
Yeah, but that's because you want the harder stuff, which is where it gets tricky. Like I was okay with like the mid-range stuff, so.
Gotcha.
So yeah, but it is worth checking out 89 cents. Don't get me wrong. Like we were kind of negative about the control, and the controls aren't their fault. Like the game was designed with a controller in mind that isn't what Nintendo's doing with the Switch, which is a matter of reality. But yeah, it's and there's 3 free DLC packs with additional songs and stuff right now, so you get a good amount of content for basically nothing, and it's a fun time waster. I found myself playing it like in little chunks in between other things I was doing. So yeah, I'm clearly a little more positive on it than Angel, but overall, yeah, it's an interesting experience that at that price, why not? Basically. And I think that might actually be it. That was a lot of game impressions we gave today. We usually do, like, not that many. So, we're going to be back with more impressions, actually, because we have Astral Chain coming up in our next episode. Picking it up this weekend. I don't know if you're picking it up.
I have no hope that you're going to play a lot of that game.
I'll play an amount of it that makes it worth giving impressions, and then a little more and taper off like I always do. No, but
Can you start playing Super Mario World yet?
I will have it done by the end of September, as promised. Anyway, next episode. Next episode, we'll be talking about Astral Chain. That's on September 16th. Our episode. We're also going to be doing a special game giveaway. More to come on that. Stay tuned. And who knows what else? There's rumors of Nintendo Direct happening as soon as September 12th, so maybe we'll have that too.
Never forget. Never forget. September 12th.
Oh, yeah. A day that lived in...
Yeah, in infamy.
In infamy. But
also the day that my favorite item off the Taco Bell menu is being taken off. So
wait, are you talking about the Cool Ranch Loco Taco?
Well, that's not my favorite.
That's my favorite. And I'm very upset about that.
But
the Cool Ranch is gone?
They're getting rid of the Cool Ranch and the Fiery.
And the Fiery.
Oh, okay. All right, now you got me.
Whoa!
Hey,
wow! That heat's getting to his head, man.
Hey, I didn't complete.
I know he said pho, but anyway, like the Vietnamese
drink,
soup,
which would come
drink.
Yeah,
soup.
it'd go pretty well right now in the heat.
Soup. He said drink.
I was thinking of boba.
Oh, that's boba. Yeah. Anyway. Before this goes completely off the rails, September 16th, we'll be back. To make sure you don't miss it, you can follow us on all the platforms. We're on Apple Music. Or
Spotify.
not Apple Music. Apple Podcasts.
What?
Says Elvis now?
Spotify.
Yeah, he knows.
Google Podcasts. YouTube. Random.com is our channel. TuneIn, Stitcher, Pandora. I think we're on Pandora. We're everywhere.
I need to go soon and eat some.
And yeah, go eat your pho. And you can follow us individually. You can tweet about your
fiery
pho.
taco.
Oh, whatever. Yeah. We'll tweet our final taco experiences together. I'll be JSR7 on Twitter. You'll be WhereOW. What? I'm gonna have the Cool Ranch.
I'm gonna go ASAP. I don't know.
I
guess if that happens to correlate when you're also going, then fine.
Listen, we can tweet them independently. We don't have to tweet them simultaneously.
But you want to tweet them at the same time.
I said together.
Now they said the 12th. Does that mean
they're the 11th week on the 12th?
Yeah,
I think so. So we have a couple weeks. Listen, the point is, there's tacos that need to be eaten. We need to go. So I'm JSR7 on Twitter. Angel is Wero, WEIRO _O on Twitter. And Kevin is KVN Gomez on Twitter. And you can find us there, and we'll be weeping about Taco Bell and celebrating the Popeye chicken sandwich, which is excellent.
I still haven't had it.
Yeah,
so
now they're out of stock. So I feel like I got a limited drop of chicken. But anyway, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And I kind of want to pour the rest of this water on my head, honestly. It's kind of warm. But you could stop the record. I'm not...